Well, wait a minute. Let me change my icon so I reflect my sympathy with the Ukrainians.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, January 30th, 2014. Time for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 587.
This is No Agenda.
Raising the bar on information inequality. From FEMA Region 6 here in the Travis Heights Hideout in Austin, Tejas in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I ask the proverbial question, would you pay $15.50 for a jumbo Gulf shrimp cocktail? I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
I would not, but I have in the past.
Seems a little steep.
That's very steep. And was it Gulf Coast shrimp? Is that what you said?
Well, this is the oyster menu from the bar and restaurant at the Oyster Bar at Grand Central Station, one of the great places in the world
that is
to go eat.
That's indeed quite good, yeah.
But this is from December 18th, 2002.
It was, wow.
Because I consistently have, because I have a lot of old menus here at the house.
Yes, as one
that
does.
I've been archiving.
That would be a great book one day.
Well, to compare the prices, I'm sure the price from 2014 is even higher.
No, just in general, I think it would be an interesting book to look at menus from the past.
Yeah.
Menus from the past with John C. Dvorak.
The problem with archiving a menu or two is that you end up with just a mishmash of this. It's nothing that it doesn't really. It's not like a good collection. If I was a collector and I knew what I was doing, I've gotten lectures from guys who do this.
Who collect menus?
No, people that collect anything. You go to an antique and the dealer and some guy's got a great collection of some sort of plastic radio.
John, you are a far cry from an antique dealer, my friend.
Well, I don't come here to be insulted.
Yes, you do.
So anyway, anywho, the guy says, "Oh yeah, no, if you're going to collect anything, you got to have a complete collection, as close to complete as possible, and everything has to be in mint condition.
Yeah, otherwise
you're just fooling yourself.
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
Yeah.
So I don't have either one of those. I don't meet either criteria. So I'm an idiot.
You're not a complete idiot. In fact, neither of us are idiots. I don't want to say too much, but how long had it not rained in California?
About 6 months.
And we shook our rain sticks, and what happened?
It rained a little bit.
I must have at least 10 reports of rain. I have people sending me satellite images of rain over Northern California.
We need more rain. We better kick them up again.
All right, let's do it again. Here we go. Rain stick for California. We need a little bit in Austin, too, by the way. Just a little bit. To get rid of some of the cedar fever. All right, there we go.
Well, I think that's good.
I have to say, these rain sticks, they're nothing to be messed around with. And luckily, we are licensed rain stick professionals. They could go horribly.
Handmade rain sticks.
In Utah.
From Utah,
yes. Yeah, we are licensed professionals, and we know how to use them, obviously. Moreover, they work.
Apparently.
I'm using moreover now more often.
Well, it's better than so.
Oh, the president used it again in his speech. In his State of the Union, he did another moreover.
Yes, I know. I heard that.
And it's that guy who's writing the speech.
And as soon as I heard it, I thought the same thing I'm sure you thought, or most of our listeners. Aha! They're using Microsoft Word.
Yeah. Microsoft Word, the presidential edition.
Well, that speech was terrible.
It's interesting because, of course, we watched it, as we also watched the Grammys, and Mickey appropriately said she felt really gypped in both cases. Is whenever we watch something that we're all excited about on television, you always wind up feeling gypped at the end.
Well, the Grammys were particularly crappy.
You know what the problem? So
they did have the witch burning and some of that creepy stuff, though.
Well, Katy Perry famously in an interview a few years ago said that she had sold her soul to the devil. So, moreover, obvious why she, called up Beelzebub and had the dark horse of death, but they're losing their touch. And here's what's happening. This thing is so integrated now with the commercials everybody, they perform, and then there's a CoverGirl commercial. Pink has her commercial, and Taylor Swift has a commercial, and then there's Justin Timberlake with the MasterCard. Justin Timberlake had a MasterCard commercial, and he had 2 commercials. It's so integrated that it's just not fun anymore. You can't get a good Illuminati sacrifice in because the commercials are in the way. And by the way, this Katy Perry thing, this was even the devil is commercialized because this thing was a pre-promotion of the new Disney movie with Angelina Jolie. Exact same big trees
who
trying
usually
to
carries
kill
a
everybody.
vial of blood on her.
And then, of course, we had my favorite part was the magic number showed up. We had
33, that's a magic number.
we had 33 couples in a mass wedding.
Yes, I know. Everybody tweeted about that.
I have to say, I was really emotional at that point because they had just had the Dead segment before that. And I don't know if you've had this, John.
There's a lot of, I don't know, I get the sense there was a lot of people left off the Dead segment.
Well, here's what happened. Polly Anthony shows up on the Dead list. And Polly Anthony was one of probably the only big major record label female executives. And I knew her quite well from my New York radio days. And I mean, just with a name like Polly Anthony right there, you're cool. And she was kind of milfy, kind of hot. But she was the girl executive who really was at every single show, made sure that she really played the industry very well. And I had no idea she had died. And she's only 59, pancreatic cancer, some bullshit like that. And it really shocked me. I don't know when you had your first Dead list. Maybe you haven't had it, but I presume that at a certain point you get to an age. I'm now, this is my 50th year. And, okay, so the Phil Everly dies and, some other people, and some people I've met or I've interviewed. But then you get someone who you really know kind of from a personal level. And this was the first time I just went, oh, man, this blows. Have you ever had that when you see the Dead segment?
I always see somebody that there's 2 things. I get 2 reactions. One is, I didn't. That's too bad. And then you look them up, you find they're 80, and it's not that too bad.
Exactly.
And then the other one, other one is, and this is the reaction I normally get. And when you get older, you'll get this one too a lot. Wow, I thought they were dead years ago.
That's more. Then okay, I don't have that just yet. My first reaction was, oh man, Polly died. This is horrible. I didn't know, and it turns out she died at end of September, and I just never knew. And so now I feel shitty. I didn't send anything. When my daughter was born, Polly Anthony sent flowers. I mean, this is kind of there was a level of industry friendship. Then the second reaction, as I turned to Mickey, I said, if I die before you, you will not if I'm on a Dead segment, I want my own full frame. I don't want to share with 2 other people. I
was
hate
stunned by that.
Sucks. So
they don't do that with the movie and TV industry.
No, I want a full frame, and I want you to hear my voice.
Yeah, you're not going to get it.
I want a little audio track.
You'll be lucky to get on the segment. You've been blacklisted.
Man, oh man! I was like, how bad is that? You get with 2 other people on one screen.
Slow it. I actually had to, when I started rapping, I wanted to see who these people were, and they were moving them so fast that you couldn't read all 3 of them in time for the next frame.
Very hard.
Anyway, I thought this show was terrible, and the 33 meme comes up in that show. Then it also comes up in the presidential speech.
But wait! Before you go there, what was incredibly lame and does kind of tie into something we'll talk about later about Russia is the CBS. I can't do it. CBS. There we go. CBS network. And so, they pretend like they're all going to show something, but the minute these 33 couples are going to seal their love with a kiss, which would include men on men and women on women kisses, they cut away.
I saw a couple kisses.
No, you did not see any gay kisses. There's no way. It's not true. You think you saw it, but you didn't see it.
Well, whatever.
And I would like to remind everybody that this is the network that was fined $200,000 for showing Janet Jackson's nipple to children.
I thought it was ABC.
No, it was the Super Bowl. It was. I'm pretty sure it was a CBS Super Bowl. Maybe it was ABC. I thought it was
I'll check it
CBS.
out.
No.
I'll look it up.
Anyway, yeah, was it the Grammys? Well, it's Ken Ehrlich. Now, I've worked with Ken Ehrlich. He's the director. He's the writer. He's the producer. He's a dick. We've talked about him before. He's an old.
Every year we
dick.
talk about him.
He's old fashioned. Yeah, give it to Ryan Seacrest. Give it to some new guy.
Seacrest would totally kick ass.
Yeah, give it to some new guy who's going to do
the next Dick Clark.
Yeah, well, they better give this to him. Well, he has an ABC kind of affiliation, I think. He does the Dick Clark stuff. But the Grammys should totally give this to somebody young and hip and get it away from Ken Ehrlich. Time to retire. Anyway. Okay, so there was the jip about all that. I was going to give you that Disney movie, actually.
And the songs all sucked.
Maleficent is what a stupid title. That's the new Disney movie with Angelina Jolie. Maleficent?
Yeah.
What does that mean, Maleficent?
It's like, I don't know. I have no idea.
If you look at the trailer for Maleficent, which they played on the Grammys as a commercial, you'll see that that's totally Katy Perry's performance. So, as I said, you can't even do a good devil worship anymore.
You're right, it was CBS.
The Janet Jackson? Yeah, I thought it was CBS, yeah. Okay. Then we had the State of the Union address. And I was quite surprised how many people emailed me, and I wasn't going to get any clips from it. And because what do you expect? First of all, we have 33.3 million people, according to the Nielsen, who watched the State of the Union speech.
And got to the 0.3 right on the money.
I mean, please, can you just...
That's a magic number.
What are they trying to tell us with all this?
That's what I was... Well, you tell me. I can't figure it out.
I pulled a couple quick clips just to make some points. Is there anything you wanted to say specifically about this speech?
Well, I got a kick out of this part.
I watched C-SPAN. What coverage did you watch?
I watched either CNN, because CNN usually has the best. Although in this case, CNN had Wolf Blitzer running the whole thing, and this guy, I don't know what he's on, but he just could not stop talking. He says, okay, let's be quiet now. Where they're going to announce the president, he's going to say the president's name, and the president's going to come out, and the president will be walking down the aisle, and we're going to mic some of the people on the aisle, so everyone in the aisle will be able to hear what the president says to these people on the aisle, and when the president and he talks over the whole thing.
What I really missed, and we were sitting watching, and of course we had an ice day the day, but we couldn't go outside. Austin froze essentially. This was kind of nice that this happened. So we stayed inside the whole day, and we're watching this. We're like, "Where's the red? We're going switching over to E. Where's the red carpet event? Shouldn't we have Kelly Osbourne and the fat gay guy? Shouldn't they be doing like fashion stuff? Because wow, you could just see these ladies. Hey, I love your yellow outfit. Oh, your orange is great. Oh, purple is all the rage. Who styles these women? It is the most atrocious. These outfits.
Well, what do you expect? Can you imagine watching this and then seeing a bunch of women in this audience wearing floral prints? I mean, come on.
Well, yeah.
The guys going to be dressed like Prince? I don't think so.
By the way, did you see Taylor Swift's chainmail dress during the Grammys?
Probably.
Oh,
is that the one she was standing up and dancing in?
Yeah. She kind of ruined it with the dancing, but man, she looks good in that dress. Oh my God! And I'm no Taylor Swift fan, especially
she's got the top people working on her.
Especially and she did that performance with the orgasmic head shaking. What the hell was that? That was weird.
The head bobbing going back. She's gonna break her neck.
That was weird. Have you seen there's a video floating around where what is it's the console game where you're fighting with you're doing kung fu kicks and I've played it 100 years ago.
Whatever.
Anyway, so one of these characters drops into the frame and starts kicking her in the head, and every single time her head goes back is very funny. Okay, back to the State of the Union. and all the atrocious. I mean, America should just. I mean,
Okay, well, you asked me a question. You didn't let me answer.
Yes. No wonder the world hates us. Just look at what our female politicians are wearing. No wonder the world hates us.
So here's what got to me. There's at one moment, it's early in the speech where he decides that he's going to tell. He's already been doing executive orders left and right, even though they say he hasn't done that many. And I don't have the numbers, but whatever the case is, he says he's tired of Congress's do nothing. Congress hasn't done anything, so he's going to take matters into his own hands as a dictator, and he's going to start using his pen and his phone to get things done because he is the president and he's screw Congress. They give him a standing O.
Well, half of the audience gave him a standing ovation.
For one thing, they should have impeached him on the spot.
No, this is very interesting. You know, when the president does these Democratic Party fundraisers, there's never any audio or video of it, but the White House always releases a transcript, which is kind of weird because you have no context. But I always read these transcripts, and for the past, months, as far as I can recall, a couple months, everywhere he goes, the crowd at these fundraisers are cheering, executive order, executive order. Yeah, we can just show them, these assholes, show them. This is a big thing amongst the Democratic Party. They really, really, really want him to start issuing a lot of executive orders. So I'm going to say it's not him. The entire Democratic Party really wants this.
They want a dictator.
Well, whatever they want to route around the process.
If the Republicans were in office, they'd be probably chanting the same crap.
Of course.
But he should be immediately impeached. He
hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't done anything.
After just for threatening. Right after the I don't want to jump ahead because you have some clips from the speech we'll get back to, but I think we should at least the next day he goes out, and I think he's a little more blunt about it with this clip I have Obama. He goes to Costco.
Yeah, he mentioned Costco, didn't he, in the speech?
Yeah, and then he goes to Costco, and he gives a speech at Costco to the employees and I guess anyone wandering around.
Headquarters in his State of the Union last night, President Obama spoke of opportunity for everybody, promising to issue an executive order to increase the minimum wage for new federal employees. Today, he took his message on the road. At a Costco in Maryland, the president said he wants to give America a raise and won't wait if the House and Senate hold things up.
America can't just stand still if Congress isn't doing anything. I'm not going to stand still either. Wherever I can take steps to expand opportunity for more families, I'm going to do it, with or without Congress.
Now, this is about the 1010 minimum wage for federal contractors. This is not about anything else than that, which is, of course, I looked into Article 2, which is of the Constitution. You know, you always have to kind of refresh your memory about how the executive orders work, and there is no specific mention of an executive order in the Constitution. However, in Article 2 there, and this has been going on since George Washington issued executive orders. If it pertains to the Constitution and the rule of law being followed, which is, this is a very broad interpretation, and remember that just about everybody in politics these days is a lawyer. So there's a lot of lawyering around this. And, it can be struck down. I mean, there have been executive orders that have been struck down in the past, and the Supreme Court can look at these. But you're looking at half the country, well, more than half the country, 51% of the country that votes, who really want this. The
Germans wanted Hitler.
Well, I wanted this. Okay, you are jumping ahead now, but let's talk about this. This is a meme that is running around about inequality, and I have been paying very close attention to this. And what caught my eye specifically was an article, a letter sent in to I think the Wall Street Journal by Tom Perkins. Now, Tom Perkins is a very famous Silicon Valley venture capitalist, or he kind of was. His name is still on the Kleiner Perkins Caulfield buyer's door. and of course I've raised a lot of money for my previous company with them. But Tom Perkins is not a part of it. And
well, he's still a part owner.
Oh yeah, so he sent this letter to the Wall Street Journal, and it kind of was based on his ex-wife Danielle Steele. Famous,
talk about a power couple.
She sold about 1 billion books. 1 billion with a B.
Loaded.
She
has one of the biggest mansions in San Francisco.
She is the most successful fiction writer of our time. And she was apparently, I haven't read the piece, but she was pulled apart by the I believe by the Chronicle. And, she's a horrible person. She's a rich snob. And who does she think she is? And, of course, there's no mention that she is a huge philanthropist and has given away a lot of money to all kinds of good causes. And then Tom Perkins, I guess they're divorced, but he still likes her. They get along. He said, I got to defend her and say, hold on a second. This is very dangerous. And I kind of got into this, and I started researching. He says it's very dangerous when 99% of the population start hating 1%. Now, what he's doing here is he's taking the 99% versus the 1% meme of Occupy Wall Street, and he is saying, and he actually specifically equated it to Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Well, but you know what? I've looked into this, and I think he has a point. I really like what he was saying. He's saying in the 30s, it was the Jews who, in fact, this is well known. The Germans, the nationalistic Germans, known as the Nazis, and the Nazi Party, the Nationalist Party, talked about the stab in the back. And the stab in the back was according then to what was reported and written and spoken about, were the Jews who ran the banks and the stock market, and that they being the Jews, had rigged the war, the financing of the war, and Germany had lost World War I. And moreover, they were responsible for the Bolshevik Revolution. And of course, then we got Kristallnacht, and this is so Perkins got his ass handed to him by the Anti-Defamation League. This is what happens if you're in mainstream and you say anything about Jews, immediately you get called out, and it's a horrible. It's happened to me. It's a very, very horrible experience. So this happened to him, and he said, "Oh,
it's going to happen to you again the way you're headed."
Yeah, whatever. I really don't give a shit because there's nothing can happen to me. I have no skin in the game, and they can't take away any advertisers. But his point is, at the time, and this is his equation, the 1%, actually, if you look at Wikipedia, 0.86% of the population were Jews, and the Jews were running the financial industry, and they got persecuted because they had apparently used their financial power to ruin Germany. This is his equation, and if you search around on the internet, you can find this story. And of course, I wasn't there, and I have no idea really what the facts are. But it's not something that's taught in school necessarily. People just say, well, Hitler hated Jews and he started killing them, and all the Germans were in on it. There's probably a little more backstory to it. Just a little more. Just a little more.
There's more to it, obviously, but that generality is not wrong.
But someone started a spark. There was a reason why the Jews were so hated that they went to gas them, John.
So you think they're gonna? You think the mob is finally gonna form and go to Hillsborough and Atherton and round up the rich, put their heads on a stick?
Well, if the president of the United States in a State of the Union is pounding on about inequality, and what does it actually mean? So people are saying everything is shit in our country because the richest 1% are hoarding all the money. Right. Yes. I think you're not far off from people saying
that would be something to see.
You're not far off from saying people who are rich are the problem, and we need to gas them.
No, see, this is where I go off in another road.
Okay,
we need to develop a wealth tax, and the problem is solved. But go on with your thing.
Oh, no, that's not my thing. I'm making an analysis. I pulled a little clip from Tom Perkins when he went to explain this on Bloomberg.
How do you see this divide playing out?
Now that, as a messenger, I've been shot, I think at least read the message.
But you just said at the beginning of this that you regret the way this message was conveyed.
I regret the use of that word.
The word is Kristallnacht. He regrets using that, equating the Occupy Wall Street people to Nazis who went and trashed all Jewish shops, banks, and synagogues.
It was a terrible misjudgment. I don't regret the message at all. In fact,
What is the message?
The message is anytime the majority starts to demonize a minority, no matter what it is, it's wrong and dangerous, and no good ever comes from it.
What's the solution?
Wealth tax.
First, to understand the problem, be aware of it. That's why I wrote the letter. And I don't apologize for writing the letter. I should not have used that awful word. But the letter said what I believed. And I believe we have to be careful that we don't demonize anybody, and that we certainly don't demonize the most creative part of our society.
Now, let me understand, John. You're saying wealth tax is the solution. I don't think it's a solution at all. The wealth tax is not going to raise anyone's standard of living. It's only going to be put into the government to be squandered on military
It's going to raise
crap.
anyone who pays income taxes standard of living in 1 second. Once it's passed, it's instant.
What do you mean?
Standard of living is increased.
How do you figure that?
You're making $100,000 a year, let's say,
Yeah.
and you're being taxed at a 30% rate, so you're taking home $70,000. Once the wealth tax is enforced, your income tax is going to drop probably at least by half to about $15,000. Your standard of living goes up immediately.
My standard of living goes up.
I'm just saying the theoretical person that makes $100,000 a year.
Now that's
They're not gonna be
that's
paying as
total
much
bull
taxes.
crap. That makes no sense.
What do you mean it makes no sense? What are you talking about?
It's just so if you tax billionaires 50% of their income, you're telling me it's going to make it.
What are you talking about? We're talking about 1-2%.
Yeah, billionaires. That's what I said. If you you tax them 1% more, okay,
No, you tax them like 1% of their wealth, 2%.
right, and then where does that money go?
What's this difference does it make? What do you mean? Where it goes? Where all the money goes? Where same place it goes now?
Okay, so
except that it's not. You're not gouging people earning an income by taking their hard-earned money away from them for actually working.
Okay, so
you're
you're
taking money from people who have established wealth.
Let me
that they're
understand.
sitting on, it's doing nothing for anybody, and they're demanding to be taxed more.
May I ask you a question? Are you saying that if we tax the 1%, that we can then alleviate taxes on the 99%?
Everybody gets taxed.
Everybody gets taxed the same.
Yes.
Okay.
A wealth tax.
Right. I get it. But your mistake is you think that the person who is poor is not going to benefit from that.
Yeah, they are.
How?
They're not going to pay any taxes.
Oh, so you're saying there's no tax, we only have a wealth tax?
Yes. There's no income tax. That's the killer.
Oh, that's not the same as just saying wealth tax. You're saying a wealth tax system so if you're wealthy, then you get taxed in America. That's what you're saying? You pinko commie.
It's what they do in Switzerland. Is that a communist nation? I don't
Hell
think so.
yeah. With a monarchy. Oh, please. No, John. This is
Okay, wait a minute. Let's back up with you in this idea. First of all, Tom Perkins is an out-and-out douchebag of the highest order, period.
I agree.
And he comes out with this arrogant crap, which is all it is. It's an arrogant thing. I feel like I should say something because, I'm being put upon. Oh, my God, I could be strung up tomorrow by an angry mob, which is never going to happen in a million years, and he's got places all over the world to retreat to if he has this horrible problem that's facing him. And he comes out with this nonsense, a piece of crap article, which is excoriated by everybody, including his own company, Kleiner Perkins. It has to come out and say, oh, my God, this guy, our own founder's an idiot. We just disavow ourselves from this whole thing. And you're defending it.
I'm not defending everything. I'm saying it's worth listening to what he's saying. And by the way, a tweet from Kleiner Perkins PR is not the same as John Doerr standing up and saying, this is bullcrap. That's not exactly the same thing.
Let's ask John Doerr.
Well, you should ask John
Doerr.
What
he's going to say? He's going to say it's bullcrap.
What I'm saying is when you have the president of America pushing the inequality meme, what does that mean? Forget Tom Perkins. What is the president saying with that? He's saying America's unfair, that the rich people only get richer. Is that what he's saying? I just want to understand.
That's what he said in 2008. Why would he change his tune?
Right. Do you not see that there could be a danger in that? Of persecution? I'm going to say,
please.
Listen to me. Okay. You're trying to break this argument by rolling your eyes. But I think that's
hear that from there?
Yeah, they're rusty. But what I think there is a valid point that you need to look at history. What happens when you persecute a small group of people who, in this case, happen to be mainly Jews?
No, they're not.
Yes, they
Tom
are.
Perkins isn't a Jew.
Kleiner was.
John Doerr's not a Jew.
John, in general, they're talking. This is about bankers. Look, I'm no friend of the bankers. I'm just looking at history and saying, "Oh, that's an interesting point." Then maybe we should go back and maybe you should tell me, how did Hitler get an entire nation to hate this small 0.8% of the population so much so that they gassed them to death? How was that? How did that happen?
It was a complex sociology at the time.
Do you think we have a complex sociology right now?
Let's put it this way. I don't think the rich are going to suffer or even have a potential of suffering the fate of the Jews in Germany during World War II. I don't even think it comes close. I think this is just rich people whining.
Okay. Look, I am not on the rich...
Oh, they don't love us. Oh, I'm not a loved person for all the good I've done. Nobody loves me.
Okay, let's take this a little further. Look at what's actually happening to the people who work at the rich people's companies. There is a growing hatred for people who take the Google bus or the Apple bus or, the people who are pushed out of the neighborhood by Twitter, by the gentrification of certain well-established areas of San Francisco. There is an actual hatred going on. Now,
I'm not buying it.
You're not buying the hatred?
I think this is a created pile of crap done by extortionists, much like you'd see with the Rainbow Coalition, that are, as soon as they get their payoff from Google and Twitter and all these other guys, they get a little money under the table. This will go away overnight.
I hope so. I really do.
It's an extortion racket.
Okay. Well, I want to register that I feel that you need to look at some history and that I do not like... I personally, forget Tom Perkins. I don't lay awake at night thinking about Tom Perkins. I do not like when my president is bitching about income inequality. You know, this is not this country is an experiment, and we set it up a certain way, and that's part of it. Here's the difference between our president of the State of the Union and our president as he was running for re-election.
Americans understand that some people will earn more money than others, and we don't resent those who, by virtue of their efforts...
Can you stop for a second? Stop. You know, have you noticed this throughout the speech? When did he start picking up this habit of talking like this every so often? He'll say, and then the rich people. It's like George Bush used to do that. Did you notice this in the speech?
Yes, many times. Well, it's
creepy.
There's a couple of things that we need to talk about, but so this... I've clipped this together of him at the State of the Union and then of him in running for re-election.
Americans understand that some people will earn more money than others, and we don't resent those who, by virtue of their efforts, achieve incredible success. If you got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
So when did that happen? This switch. I remember quite clearly. You didn't build that. You're not successful. You built that on the backs of other people. And now it's, oh, no, it's all good.
I don't see the difference. I think it's the same message.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're going to have to disagree on this.
You don't think it's the same message? He is again excoriating the rich because they got all this money, and really shouldn't be their money anyway because it's all done on the infrastructure and all the crap that the government and everybody else makes for them.
It's the same message, but the words are different. He's saying, "Oh no, this is a great country where you can be as rich as you want," but not really. His message is no, not really.
Well, he's always had this message is not unusual for him. I think he's always been anti.
And this is my point.
Business.
And this is my point. He is anti-rich, anti-business, and except of course when you're willing to show up and you had a $400 million truck company, and then he can abuse you to pretend like you're some new entrepreneur. Did you catch this with the Ford lady? This is the piece that he talked about.
2 years ago, as the auto industry came roaring back, Andra Rush opened up a manufacturing firm in Detroit. She knew that Ford needed parts for the best-selling truck in America.
What?
And she knew how to make those parts.
Yeah.
The best-selling truck in America.
It's a Ford commercial.
I got the biggest kick out of that.
So she already owned before she opened her new CDM, is the initial the business. Before she already had a $400 million trucking company. So this is just more elites. The guy talks out of two sides of the face. He loves having the elites around him and paying for his campaign and whatever else he needs money for. But yet, screw the rich, which is a popular meme, and it's a growing frustration, John. And I am going to agree in general with Tom Perkins' message. That has to be, in America, I feel that has to be evaluated and looked at, and we do need to be a little careful about that. And I really hope you're right. I hope it's just a whole bunch of people who are pressuring and want to get paid off, and then the whole issue will go away. I don't see it that easily. I don't see it going away that simply.
Well, when the economy collapses, it seems
when the economy collapses, that's
what happened in 29. We had the same problem. 28, 29. It was people bitching about the same thing. It was a discrepancy, and then that was corrected by the economy itself. Not completely, but enough so that it.
But I do not believe that. Who was the president at the time? Roosevelt.
In 28.
Yeah, who was the president?
Hoover.
I do not believe Hoover was doing speeches saying, yeah, rich people suck. In times like this, it's not the message. That's not the right message. It's a dangerous message. And what is rich, by the way? By many standards, you and I are incredibly rich. Seriously.
We're rich in spirit, Adam. Rich in spirit.
Blow me, Dvorak. Okay, fine. Let me ask you another question. Why does our government, and apparently a lot of people, why are we all in on pre-kindergarten? Do we really need to send our children to slave training?
This is a great question.
Slave training. The children who are younger than 5 need government-financed education. No. I do not believe children need to go to some shul before 5.
Most students do not need to go to kindergarten. That's where it begins. Why do it earlier? No, I agree with this 1,000%. Why don't we just do it like the Spartans used to do? The kid's born, you grab him from the mom and you put him into a state-run institution from day one and teach him to be a trained killer.
Exactly, or whatever, with Common Core. God knows. Which the president also hyped without actually saying it. Yeah, it's all great. The governors are all in state-led initiatives. No, your children are being trained to be, and maybe it's the right way to go. I don't know. If you're going to have an equality state anyway, you might as well have everyone just be, you know what? I think the Matrix comes into play. We just need to figure out a way to pump human resources with enough food and hook up electrodes so they just provide electricity. And just have you stay at home and watch television.
So we look at this speech as a I don't know, what was your takeaway, to use a Silicon Valley term now that you brought up the venture capital community? What was your takeaway from this speech? Did it save Obama's career, make him a great man? Because some people in the media seem to think so.
I need to talk about two more things to give you my final wrap-up. The first one is this.
But the debate is settled. Climate change is a fact. And when our children's children look us in the eye and ask if we did all we could to leave them a safer, more stable world with new sources of energy, I want us to be able to say, yes, we did.
I want to say something. I agree with the president on this. Climate change is a fact.
Global cooling.
What he did not say is man-made climate change is a fact. The guy's very
climate's
slick.
always changing.
Yes, thank you. The guy's very slick. Very, very, very slick. He had no problem saying that. Two things. I looked something up because there's two things that really, really, really bothered me. And the first one is for the president, who I believe he is an atheist.
We brought this up on the show some time back, and we're pretty convinced of this. He never goes to church, doesn't care.
So he winds up his speech with "God bless America."
He always does.
Which I find to be hypocritical. But okay, this actually started in 1973 with Richard Nixon. Before that, no president ever did this.
Right. This is true.
And I didn't realize that, and it is just a marketing ploy that, again, initiated by Nixon. And I would say most people who use this term, God bless America, God bless these United States, are hypocritical, atheist pricks. And they're just using it to sucker anybody in who might somehow believe in this or who actually believe in it. But in general, it's a marketing ploy, and it's sad. It's sad, especially since Richard Nixon started it. What does that tell you if you're still doing it? Now,
well, you can't get rid of it now.
Now here is
before you go on, it's done. It's a done deal. This is like the little. I don't know if you remember the flag on the lapel, a scandal. Apparently, it was Obama. One day, he didn't put his little flag on his lapel.
Yeah, he wasn't patriotic.
And there was just everybody was all over it.
I got to love.
What's the flag doing there in case he gets shot down over Vietnam? I mean, what is he? We know he's an American. He knows he's the president. For God, this is like the badges that these generals wear.
Okay, now, good. I'm glad you got to that point. I am so sad to see our representatives of government, and I'm pretty confident most people the 33.3 million people who watched this speech. The longest applause, and it wasn't like we hadn't had 15 or maybe 20 cutaway shots of this poor boy whose half his head got blown off in Afghanistan, and we're all standing and applauding and we're tearing up for the fact that this country sends its children to get half their heads blown off in a country we have no business. Why are we there? To rip off poppy fields for drugs and oil pipelines and minerals and pretend that we're protecting the homeland? It disgusts me. And I come from a long line of uniforms and people in government agencies who I consider to be extremely patriotic. But the way this is now being used for this bogus bullshit war, really, really, no, I got very angry and very sad about, because he's there and some Afghani kid blew his head off because he didn't know what the fuck this American kid was doing there. That made me really sad that this is what we're applauding, and it was misused by this administration to cover up all the other crap that is going wrong so we can all feel good about our men and women who are, thank you for your service. Sickening.
Do you think there become a day, it seems to me it should be now, where they just don't do this speech?
There's no actual reason to do it other than marketing.
I think there's something in the law or in the Constitution where he has to make a report.
Yeah, to Congress. It doesn't have to be on television. It doesn't have to be televised. It can be a written report.
Does it have to be spoken? Why can he just send it as a memo?
In fact, it has by constitutional law, it has to be written. According to Article 2.
I find that this speech, it bothers me, and I think the thing is gratuitous. I think it's out of date. It's not necessary. I don't see any reason where every network in the world has to put it on, or they're going to feel like people are going to condemn. Because you know what would happen if CBS actually ran its normal schedule on a Tuesday night with NCIS, LA, and Persons of Interest. It would kill the other networks.
Yeah.
It would be the end of it. If one of the networks would stand up and say, look, we're not running this thing because it's boring and nobody watches it, and it's meaningless, and it's just a political speech, and they just pulled the plug on it and said, no, we're running NCIS and our regular scheduled programming for Tuesday night, they would wipe out the other networks, and the other networks would have to follow suit in the future.
That is the Ted Turner model, by the way. Article 2, Section 3, the president shall from time to time give to Congress information of the state of the Union and recommend to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient.
Time to time.
He may, on extraordinary occasions, preempt any primetime programming.
That's not in the Constitution.
It's in the Constitution. It says it right here. To convene both houses or either of them, and in case of disagreement between them with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he shall think proper. Did you ever know this? He shall receive ambassadors and other public ministers, smoke weed, do lines of coke. He shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed, and shall commission all the office. So there's a very, very small line about this. But that, of course, that started with who was the first televised State of the Union president?
Well, that would have to be after Roosevelt would do stuff on the radio, and that would preempt everything.
Yeah.
And so then you had Truman, and television was just coming in. It would probably be Eisenhower.
I think it was Eisenhower.
But he was actually a good public speaker that was interesting to listen to, because he wasn't written by handlers, and there wasn't teleprompters. He read from a piece of paper.
I will say, though, that
this has got to go.
The State of the Union is sad. The leader of our union is lying and tiptoeing around and riling people against each other. I think it was divisional. Also, the douchebags who are in the actual chamber. Oh, I'm not going to stand up. Oh, I'm going to stand up. Oh, we're military. We're not standing. We're not even going to clap for anything. And the Supreme Court judges. The whole thing is a big puppet theater of douchebags who, by the way, pretty much, without exception, are all millionaires and part of the 1%.
Yeah, this is true. With the exception of Biden, who apparently can't save a nickel.
And it's shameful. The whole thing is shameful. It really is. I'm ashamed of what I see when I see this.
Well, that's another reason why it should be preempted, and it should be. This is over. This is stupid. We have to stop doing these speeches. If war breaks out or something, a real war, yeah, the president can come on and preempt a few.
Real war.
I see no reason for this speech.
Yeah,
it's
real war.
It's chewed up a good part of this show meaninglessly.
It's true. It's true.
Nobody's knowledge of anything.
No, it's true. It's just ruined. It's ruined my day. And of course, it is misused by the true douchebags. I'm looking at you, Dianne Feinstein, to tee up a Security Intelligence Committee hearing in the Senate the next morning while no one's talking about anything except, the president was very firm. He made a funny about the Speaker of the House. Yeah. So while that's all going on, in between Justin Bieber updates, we've got who do we have? We had the, my God, everybody was here, John. Did you see this thing on C-SPAN?
There was two of them at the same time. There was the Justice Department Oversight Committee, and then there was the Intelligence Senate Oversight Committee, and it was loaded with good stuff. That's what I was spending my time studying.
Well, I got it too. So Clapper, Brennan, Comey, Flynn, and Olson. Right. These are the guys you want. Oh, by the way,
cream of the crop.
I found your clip of Dianne Feinstein from 2009 when she asked.
In 2009, remember the date.
What did she ask?
She asked if there's going to be an attack on the homeland within 6 months, which
2009.
means
2009.
What is the likelihood of another terrorist attempted attack on the U.S. homeland in the next 3 to 6 months? High or low? Director Blair?
An attempted attack, the priority is certain, I would say.
Mr. Panetta?
I would agree with that.
Mr. Mueller?
Agree.
General Burgess?
Yes, ma'am. Agree.
Mr. Dinger?
Yes.
Well, there you go. 2009.
What was this attempted attack in 2009 that was going to take place within 6 months?
Oh, an actual terrorist attack? Blowing something up?
Yeah. Some kid, some kid peed in the wrong bathroom, who knows?
I pulled a couple of clips, just short ones.
It shows you I was actually irked almost for the last couple of days watching this stuff. I got some clips too, but play what you have.
I have a little. Whoa, what's going on here? What's happening? Hello, check 2. All right. Before it started, the Code Pink was in the audience, holding up signs like "Stop lying, stop spying," and I have to give some kudos to Code Pink. They got cute girls now with big boobs and tight T-shirts who are yelling stuff.
They must have had some consultants come in.
Well, I think maybe they listened to our show. I think, wasn't this one of our recommendations? To get some good-looking girls with tight T-shirts?
All the people that listen to our show from both sides of the political spectrum, Code Pink is not on that list. I can assure you that there's not, and I challenge any Code Pink person out there that actually listens, and I don't want some bull crapper to say, yeah, I'm in Code Pink. No, I wanted some honest input where nothing's going to come in.
So I tried to crank this audio up because this is just before Dianne Feinstein hammers the beginning of the meeting, where this really cute girl with a really tight T-shirt with the just nice chest, and she was showing it off for a reason, to get some media attention, which of course fails completely, but it's the right idea. She'll get some attention here on the No Agenda Show, so just imagine what she looks like. And she essentially is doing a Donald Trump on Clapper and Brennan, and she's firing them on behalf of the American people.
John Brennan, on behalf of the American people, you are fired from your position as director of the CIA because your drone strikes are making a flood state designation. If you want to talk about national security threats, let's talk about drones that violate international law, terrorize local populations, and make people across the world hate us. The ball rat and Clapper, you're fired too for lying to Congress and for lying to the American.
I like it. I'm going to give them a little in the morning for the cute Code Pink girl who's just, and Clapper, you're fired too. Brennan, you're fired. I like it. And I think that's a continuing meme that we need to keep alive. You're fired. What she should have done, though, is she should have fired a couple more people who are on the panel. I'm going to play you 2 very short clips. One from Senator Collins and one from Senator Mikulski. Both women, not that is matters in this case, but they both happen to be douche buckets. And here's the reason why the American people don't trust you. And I'm gonna ask everybody this question. John, I want you to answer because you're the only one with only other person on this program with a microphone. If I ask you, what is the first name of the whistleblower known as Snowden?
I would say Edward.
Edward would be your answer. I'm going to look at the chat room, see if they also would answer Edward. And I wonder if I went on the street and asked people, what is Snowden's first name? Do you think people would know Ed or Edward? Do you think they would know this?
I think anyone who heard of him would know this, yes, because it's always been used.
Let's listen to Senator Collins.
General Flynn, thus far in the discussion today and in general, there has been very little focus on the damage that Edwin Snowden...
Edwin Snowden. All righty then. Let's go to the miniature douche bucket known as Mikulski. Senator Mikulski, let's see who she thinks Snowden's first name is.
No group of employees has been battered more than the men and women who work at the National Security Agency. because of the illegal leaks by Eric Snowden.
Eric Snowden. Okay, very good. Very good. This is why people hate you. This is why people don't you're so out of touch you don't even know the guy's first name. What are you doing?
Eric.
Are you just
I missed that, by the way.
Are you guys high on meth all day?
I can't stand Mikulski. She's horrible. And Susan Collins, I have 3 clips from her, but they're so damn long because all she does is read from a script and condemn Edwin.
Eric, Edwin, are you kidding me? These people, they're smoking crack. They're not even reading. They don't even have a newspaper, apparently. Come on. This is why people have no trust in you. Senators, distinguished senators. All right, Clapper.
Wow.
Here's Clapper, and this, of course, was talked about a lot, but there's something in here that he refers to that needs to be discussed.
But what I do want to speak to, as the nation's senior intelligence officer, is the profound damage that his disclosures have caused and continue to cause. As a consequence, the nation is less safe and its people less secure. What Snowden has stolen and exposed has gone way, way beyond his professed concerns with so-called domestic surveillance programs. As a result, we've lost critical foreign intelligence collection sources, including some shared with us by valued partners. Terrorists and other adversaries of this country are going to school on U.S. intelligence sources, methods, and tradecraft, and the insights that they are gaining are making our job much, much harder. And this includes putting the lives of members or assets of the intelligence community at risk, as well as our armed forces, diplomats, and our citizens. We're beginning to see changes in the communications behavior of adversaries, which you alluded to, particularly terrorists, a disturbing trend which I anticipate will continue. Snowden claims that he's won and that his mission is accomplished. If that is so, I call on him and his accomplices to facilitate the return of the remaining stolen documents that have not yet been exposed to prevent even more damage to U.S. security.
Now, the media made a big deal about accomplices and Glenn Greenwald, shut up, don't rap. You all got in a hussy about, oh, am I an accomplice now? And I don't even think Clapper was talking about the journalists being accomplices. But okay, that's at least that gives the Glenn Greenwald some fodder for the next 48 hours. But what Clapper is referring to here is an interview done by ARD, the German television network. Again, always Germany. And this is something that just needs to be noted. We've got Poitras in Germany, Applebaum in Germany. We've got the German Snowden won't do interviews with 60 Minutes? Only German television? Okay, fine. Because this guy is a CIA operative, and he gives it away not once but twice, and specifically what Clapper alluded to.
At the very end, you ended up in Russia. Many of the intelligence community suspect you made a deal, classified material for asylum here in Russia.
The chief of the task force investigating me, as recently as December, said that their investigation had turned up no evidence or indications at all that I had any outside help or contact or had made a deal of any kind to accomplish my mission.
He throws it away and he says to accomplish my mission.
Right. I'm glad you got these clips because I was going to clip this stuff. And there are two pieces of evidence within this interview, and people can check it out. It's
in the show notes. We got a link. We got a link in the show notes. He says let me just make this point. He says to accomplish my mission.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
His mission is a CIA mission.
Yeah.
And he was a CIA operative.
This is what we've been saying on the show for months.
Yes. And when you're a CIA operative, you are always a company man. You are always a company man. You do not leave. You can stop working for them. They call you, you're in, or you're dead. You are always a company man.
Worked alone. I didn't need...
And so for Snowden to say, let me just play it again, because the way it slips out, and it is his mission.
To accomplish my mission.
To accomplish my mission.
Yeah.
A mission is...
I think we've got it. Let's go find the second example.
Here's the CIA stuff.
In 2007, the CIA stationed you with a diplomatic cover in Geneva, in Switzerland. Why did you join the CIA, by the way?
I don't think I can actually answer that one.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm a CIA agent.
If it's what you have been doing there, forget it. But why did you join the CIA?
In many ways, I think it's a continuation of trying to do everything I could to prosecute the public good in the most effective way. And it's in line with the rest of my government service.
Yes! And he is going to be brought home. The deal is being worked out as we speak. It's all going to flow nicely. You know, there'll be some beautiful deal. He's going to come back, and it'll all be over. And the CIA gets what they wanted. They get total control over the NSA, who had gone off the reservation. They needed to shut those guys down, rein in the FBI. I'm feeling there may be an addendum to Executive Order 12333. Because that's what everyone is operating off of. Once again, in these Senate hearings, it's brought up again. And I need to tell you, this is a setup.
You dissected the 12333 thing in the last show, which I thought was quite good. And it's still in play, which means that these guys can be given the ability to just do anything they want to. And I think that's pretty much epitomized in this great bullcrap answer clip I have, which is where Clapper's asks another direct question, which he doesn't answer.
Especially given what's been happening, that the CIA and the director understand the limits of their mission and of its authorities. We all are well aware of Executive Order 12333. That order prohibits the CIA from engaging in domestic spying and searches of U.S. citizens within our borders. Can you assure the committee that the CIA does not conduct such domestic spying and searches?
I can assure the committee that the CIA follows the letter and the spirit of the law in terms of what CIA's authorities are, in terms of its responsibilities to collect intelligence that will keep this country safe. Yes, Senator, I do.
Have you ever screwed around on me with another woman? I can confirm to you that I absolutely would never think that would be appropriate to do, because I like the use of performatives much more than answering a question.
So they walked on that one. Now, when you talk about the CIA going after the NSA, you have to kind of see who's in what camp, because the FBI is in a camp, and then we have the DIA.
Yes,
so they had General Flynn,
right?
And Susan Collins was grilling him and she threw some stuff in there, by the way, which I did a little research on, like the 3 mile high stack of documents.
Mm-hmm.
So a 3 mile high stack of documents, I calculated to be 48 million documents.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that a sheet of paper is 0.1 millimeter thick.
John, oh my gosh. Did you do this calculation on the chaise lounge?
I did this calculation on the computer. So she's doing her thing. So she's obviously in the NSA. I think the whole Feinstein committee, by the way, is in the NSA camp, because either they've been blackmailed. I mean, she sounds like she's been blackmailed the way she's reading this question. And the DIA seems to also be under the gun, because this is being asked of, again, Flynn, who, by the way, and this is kind of interesting, Flynn is a 3-star general. In other testimony, they bring up the fact that the Cyber Command is run by two 4-star generals.
Yeah.
So the Cyber Command, and there's some other stuff about the Cyber Command we can mention, I can talk about later, but this is a long clip, and you can interrupt it as
let me just say one thing about, before it all started, we found out that Clapper is in charge of, essentially he is the conduit of all intelligence to the president. This is as determined by Executive Order 12333. Everything, this bonehead, Clapper, we're going to hear from Flynn, but Clapper, the bonehead, he is the Mac Daddy of all these guys. He is the conduit to the president. He gave a confidential, what do they call it? An off the record security thing.
No, in the private sessions.
But they have a word for it.
Yeah, I know they do.
Anyway,
the something session.
He had a session and updated the Senate with all kinds of information that could not be revealed, publicly disclosed. And I believe it's in these discussions where he says, yeah, Diane, yes, I have a little, hold on a second, I have a piece of paper here for you, yes. This is about your husband's dealings, with all the post offices. Yeah, we wouldn't want that to slip out, would we? I think you're right. I think these people, all of them, are being blackmailed.
So Susan Collins really is reading, and this is you already played part of this clip. This is where she says, Edwin
Collins. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Did she have a stroke, by the way, this woman?
Yeah, she had a stroke some years ago.
Okay, so I'm not going to laugh about that. But it is annoying because it takes her a long time to get the words out.
I should have sped up the processed it.
Sorry for all you stroke victims out there. I know it sucks. And my dad's one of them. It sucks. Like, you just want to yeah. Snowden. Yeah.
General Flynn, thus far in the discussion today and in general, there has been very little focus on the damage that Edwin Snowden has done to our military. I've read the DIA assessment, and it is evident to me that most of the documents stolen by Mr. Snowden have nothing to do with the privacy rights and civil liberties of American citizens or even the NSA collection programs. Indeed, these documents, and we've heard the number 1.7 million documents, are in many cases multi-pages. If you printed them all and stacked them, they would be more than 3 miles high.
Hey, okay. Call up McGuinn. Call up McGuinn. Tell him to recut 8 miles high into 3 miles high.
3 miles high. So let's stop right there.
Yeah.
Now, all along, at least from what they've been telling us, they don't really know what Snowden ever took.
Even Glenn Greenwald says he thinks it's made up, this number.
Yeah. So, and the government itself has admitted over and over, and the NSA has said, we don't know what he took.
Right.
We don't even know how he took it, which is
yes, we do.
To our CIA stuff.
He took it off a SharePoint server.
So we don't know this. So where does this information come from? Is she just making it up?
I think she gets it from...
Who gave her this information? She's reading from a script, obviously, but this is bull crap.
She gets it from This Week in Google.
This Week in Google.
Jeff Jarvis.
I say that to give the public more information.
No, more propaganda. Very good, Miss Collins. Thank you. The public thanks you for your service and your courage.
About how extraordinarily extensive the documents that he stole were.
Stoled? He stole them. Did she say stoled?
Stolt.
I think she said stoled. I think she's from the hood now, apparently.
What? The more I hear this is all theater because they have the real sessions in private.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is because you brought it up already. I'm going to mention this is part of the negotiations.
Yeah.
We are going to start to slam Snowden for stuff that we don't know what he's got. We admitted it earlier, but now we somehow know what he's got, and it's got nothing to do with privacy. It's a bunch of military information that's going to be used against the Americans.
And what's the guy's name? I got to read the script here. It's Eric? Okay.
Eric Snowden.
Fairly extensive. The documents that he stole.
She said stoled. Stoled. Oh, let me ask you a question about the documents he stole.
And they don't just pertain to the NSA. They pertain to the entire intelligence community.
Yes, let's quickly hop back to the ARD interview and find out what that entails.
Does the NSA spy on Siemens, on Mercedes, on other successful German companies, for example, to prevail, to have the advantage of knowing what is going on in the scientific and the economic world?
I don't want to preempt the editorial decisions of journalists.
Okay.
But what I will say is there's no question that the U.S. is engaged in economic spying. If there's information at Siemens that they think would be beneficial to the national interests, not the national security of the United States, they'll go after that information and they'll take it.
And that is particularly interesting in regards to the huge scandals in Greece with Siemens.
Yeah.
Siemens high-speed rail for California.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that the word Siemens comes up.
Siemens comes up. Well, Siemens has probably been bitching to somebody about this because they know this is going on. So ask me the question that he asked Snowden about would the U.S. spy on Siemens?
Eric.
Yes.
Eric, do you think that the National Security Agency is spying on Mercedes and Siemens?
Oh, I can't answer that question because I'm going to leave it to the journalist to answer the question, which does kind of have an obvious answer of yes.
Thank you for this interview. This was very nice. I like it very much that you chose German television to talk the truth.
We're trying to get the message out to you boneheads.
And include
By the way, it just hit me. A long-term, since the 60s, CIA trick has been to have your operatives write something in a foreign publication so that then the United States publications can point to it as fact and truth. This is a known CIA way of propagandizing people.
It's good.
So you get someone to write something in das Bild, and then the New York Times can say, well, look, the Germans wrote it in their #1 publication. It must be true. Now, this is why the CIA, Eric CIA Snowden, has chosen the German press. And by the way, this is a proper German channel. This is not some, fly-by-night commercial
channel.
No, and it's not a Murdoch-owned channel. This is a state television station.
Information.
Let's go back to Ms. Collins.
About military intelligence, our defense capabilities, the defense industry. Now, you are the leader of military intelligence. You have also been deployed for extensive periods in Iraq. You know what the impact is on the military. Could you share with the committee your assessment of the impact that the damage that Edward Snowden has done to our military? And in particular, has he placed our men and women in uniform at greater risk?
Yes, you are dinging your bell, Mr. Dvorak.
What a chicken shit thing to do. Don't you think?
Yeah. You know what? They should have had
such a douchebag. People in Maine, vote this woman out of office.
What she should have done is said, let me show you this poor ranger whose half his head was blown off because of Edwin Snowden. They just make the connection. Please. Just go all the way. What do you care? See this guy who has to clap with one hand on his chest? Yeah, let's roll him out. This because of Eric Snowden. His head was blown off because the terrorists went to school on his documents. Oh, it's next. Put it in the book. It's next. John, put this in the book.
I don't know how to put it in the book.
Wounded Warrior, result of Snowden leaks.
Okay, wounded. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is it's so disgusting. I saw this whole thing and she was very annoying, and there's nothing she can help other than that she's reading a script and she reads slowly.
Senator Collins, thanks for that question. And
yeah, thanks. You read it pretty well. It was kind of exactly what the script said. So let me read my lines to you.
On the report that you're indicating or highlighting,
and this guy's clearing his throat so much.
Yeah, because he's lying.
He's lying.
We do have I believe, a session in about a week for this committee to go through the entire report. The strongest word that I can use to describe how bad this is this has caused grave damage to our national security. I think another way to address your question is what are the costs that we are going to incur because of the scale and the scope of what has been taken by Snowden. And I won't put a dollar figure, but I know that the scale or the cost to our nation, obviously in treasure, in
hey, I missed that. He didn't do the blood and
I was
treasure.
waiting. As soon as he said I was waiting blood.
Yeah, where's the blood? Where's the blood? You mix it up.
Capabilities that are going to have to be examined, re-examined, and potentially adjusted. But I think that the greatest cost that is unknown today, but we will likely face, is the cost in human lives.
Yes! Show the kid with his head blown off!
On tomorrow's battlefield, or in some place where we will put our military forces.
What?
When we ask them to go into harm's way, and I think this
is exactly what I'm predicting. That's
the greatest cost that we face with the disclosures that have been presented so far.
Yeah, well, like the kid with his head blown off.
You can stop that. I don't know if that's
done.
Enough, but he just goes on with this bullcrap. So she comes back and asks this other guy, Matt Olson, who's the counterterrorism specialist for the White House and all these agencies.
Isn't he the guy that wrote the book?
I think he's the guy that wrote the book.
We looked at this Olson guy. He's another lawyer.
He's a total douchebag, too. But listen to his answer. Now, this is not as long, thank God.
Yeah.
Because sorry about the length of these, but, Susan Collins, I do say I should have processed her so we could have cut her questions from 3 minutes to 30 seconds.
You can just put Jill Abrams from the New York Times in there, and it would be the same. Well, let me tell you about Snowden.
Hey, you got that down.
Yeah, well, I saw her. She was interviewed by Al Jazeera. And I thought of clipping it, but she really said nothing.
You also sound a little like Schumer when you're doing that voice.
Mr. Olson, it's good to see you again. We've worked extensively when I was on the Homeland Security.
Okay, stop. So when they worked extensively, she was berating him for lying about Benghazi.
Really?
I found one of their old transcripts.
Oh, really? That's funny.
They weren't working together.
Oh,
but now they are.
Oh, you should. If you have the transcript, you can go to C-SPAN video library and get a clip. Oh, really? You couldn't find it?
There's a lot of that library search thing is not.
You know what the problem is? Because I do it all the time, and they have the timeline. You can fill in the word, and on the timeline it'll find when someone said something. But if you click on it, it takes you to right after someone said something. But it could be 20 minutes of transcript where it's horrible. I spend hours finding this stuff for you people.
Committee, I want to turn to the impact of the Snowden leaks on our nation's ability to connect the dots and to protect our citizens from terrorism attacks. You addressed this issue at a recent conference. Have you seen terrorist groups change their methods as a direct result of the disclosures of the stolen documents that Mr. Snowden has?
Yeah, this was quite funny, actually. I thought.
Well, before you play anymore, let me just throw this out to our listeners and you. How do you know what he begins to say is you have to ask the question, how does he know any of this?
Yeah.
How and if you do know this and
why
you feel
can't
confident,
why can't you get these guys if you know what they're doing?
Why don't you just go pick them up or drone them?
Yes. Hello, Brennan's right there.
You noticed this too.
Of course. It's a total hole in the way they operate. It's a hole in the
narrative. It's a hole in the narrative. If you know all this stuff and we have this attitude about blowing people off of this earth with a drone, go do it.
Yeah.
We're talking.
Senator Collins, the answer to that is yes. As we've been discussing, the terrorist landscape has become increasingly complex. We've seen the geographic diffusion of groups and networks, and that places a premium on our ability to monitor communications. And what we've seen in the last 6 to 8 months is an awareness by these groups and they're increasingly sophisticated, an awareness of our ability to monitor communications and specific instances where they've changed the ways in which they communicate to avoid being surveilled or being subject to our surveillance tactics.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. I feel that if you know that there's guys who are talking about something and then they change their ways, i.e. they stop using, what was that video conference chat thing? Mm-hmm. That was on the list along with Skype. Whatever it was. So they stopped using Skype.
Right.
And you know this, and you know the guys where they're located, blow them up. You do that for anybody else. So it's a hole in the plot. It's a hole in the narrative. The writers don't know how to fill it, by the way, because these guys, they don't. It's the same on CSI or Homeland. The holes are the same, and you can. Right. And if you really objectively watch these shows, you would be shouting at your television saying, he's doing it. Blow him up. So it's.
Yeah, I found it very offensive.
And of course, more offensive is there was zero coverage of this. Zero. Because everyone was talking about snow, which cracks me up, by the way. I love how we can all predict how we're all going to die from global warming, but we can't predict ice. and all of Atlanta got caught by it because meteorologists couldn't figure, well, gee, I didn't know it was going to happen. Please, insult me. All right. Hey, in the morning to you, John C. Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Adam Curry. In the morning, all the ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
Yes, in the morning to the chat room. We've been very harsh on me this morning. NoAgendaStream.com, NoAgendaChat.net. Oh, they said, everyone knows better. Curry doesn't know what? Curry doesn't know history. Shut up, doesn't know history. Yeah. You get an F for history, Curry.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, that guy's the guy who talks like that.
That's trouble.
Hey, in the morning to our artist, thank you very much, Joshua Pettigrew. Quite a nice Davo piece of art for episode 586. This is episode 587. You could find the show notes at 587.noagendanotes.com. And very happy to thank a number of our executive producers and associate executive producers. The opening credits are a little delayed today just because we got into, so there was so much to talk about. But these are the people that these are the people that finance it, that keep us going, keep the show going, and these are the people who ultimately decide if we continue or not, along with everyone else who is producing the program, and we will thank them in a segment later on in the show.
Interesting.
And let us start with our first executive producer.
No, hold on a second. The problem was that I had my keyboard had locked up. I couldn't type.
You've had nothing but problems with this keyboard.
I've had, not really.
No,
but I've had weird problems recently from mechanical things.
I heard I heard the Horowitz show.
Yeah.
And that was unacceptable. That noise.
I filtered it out after at some point. You didn't hear you just listened to the beginning, right?
No, I heard the whole show, and you call that filtering? Yeah, you filtered out. Yeah, thank you.
You're like, whatever the case
is. Don't worry, we'll fix it in the mix. No. It was
a lot better than it was at the beginning.
And may I make an observation?
Okay, what else?
May I make an observation?
No. Make it on another show.
Well, this is exactly the point. You talk differently to him than you talk to me.
Well, what do you mean I talk differently to him? I'm the same person.
Yeah, it's different somehow, and I'm a little.
Well, I know because
I'm a little jealous.
He's less likely to pull out a gun and shoot me.
And I'm a little jealous. I'm a little hurt, actually.
Oh, please. He says the same thing.
Really?
You like Adam better than you like me.
Well, yeah. You like Horowitz better than you like me.
Well, I like a couple of guys for sure, and they tend to be some of our producers, including our two Instanites. Andrew Wilson in Hampton, Victoria, Australia, who came in with $1,000.
Wow.
Yes, wow, indeed. Dear John and Adam, thanks for a great show. Back in 565, you kindly gave me some No Agenda karma to my wife and myself, who are trying for a baby. Oh. I can proudly announce that my lovely wife is now 13 weeks pregnant, and things are looking good.
Aw.
Now the rest of it is cut off.
I have after 3 year is what I have, and I don't have any more. That's all I got there.
This is after 3 year.
Well,
if you have any more,
let me hand out some extra cards. This is what happens with when you have when your wife is pregnant and you get past that magical 3 months, so you get to week 13. Then you just like you're buying stuff, you're throwing money around, and
you can give them karma.
No better place than to toss it our way, Andrew. Thank you very much, Insta-Night.
You've got karma.
And we'll be knighting him later on, of course.
And then we have a second Insta-Night. Paul Dow, who actually wrote a couple of different notes. I'm going to play the one I think is most appropriate.
He's from, he says Qatar?
He's in Qatar.
Oh, okay.
He now lives in Lombok, wherever that is. I'm back offshore now, and I noticed I made a donation and sent a few photos. It's amazing what a few drinks can do after a few weeks.
He sent the photos, right.
Dry. Anyway, just a quick look. You can give me he wants a MILF call out, some good luck karma for the new holiday villa.
Mm-hmm.
He was just he's in Lombok, Indonesia. I think he invited you to move to Indonesia.
Yeah.
My website is nifaville.net, not finished. Meant to do it Sunday, Monday, but I had a few too many drinks instead. I come from the UK, work in Qatar, and now live in Lombok.
Oh.
MI6. Great show, and keep it up. We'll be donating more soon.
Wow. Can you spell this website of his?
NIPAH Napa NIPAH Villa VILLA
.com,
which I believe is his place.
.com?
.net.
Oh, .net. Oops. I just want to see. Does he have is this a place that we can stay?
I believe. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Nipa Villa.
It's not finished, so you don't know if you want to stay.
Oh, wow. Oh,
really?
My gosh. Oh, my gosh. Are you kidding me? Relax. Relax in comfort in your private villa. It looks awesome. Wow. Open January. Oh, hello. Wow.
Jeez. Hold on. Let me get there.
Each room can sleep up to 4 people with a double bed. And so who's going to sleep? It's a party. It's a party palace. Full AC and room fan. Beautiful ensuite shower. Fitted wardrobe. Dress mirror. Wide choice of movies. Hello. Porn. And satellite TV available. Cold mineral. Does he have Wi-Fi? He doesn't mention if he has. You got to have Wi-Fi, dude. If you don't have Wi-Fi, then it's off. But look at it. It's beautiful.
He's got the best connection you can get.
It's beautiful there. All right, MILF call out and a karma, absolutely.
MILF, that's one mother. I like it.
You've got karma.
And just some beautiful pictures of waterfall and chicks in bikinis.
It's NIPAH Villa.net. You should, if you're going to Indonesia, you might consider.
You might want to consider that place.
It's in Lombok. Where's Lombok?
Who cares? It looks great.
Yeah, well,
nice. Nice, Paul. Thank you very much, and we will be knighting you as well, my friend. Thank you.
I like the hustle and bustle of the cities.
Of Indonesia?
Yeah, Jakarta is a prime example.
I have never been.
Yeah, it's hustling and bustling, let's put it that way.
Do they have tuk-tuks there as well?
What?
Do they have tuk-tuks? Tuk-tuks.
Those little things they drive you around in?
Yeah, those 3-wheel things. Yeah,
tuk-tuks. Places is just
crawling with tuk-tuks?
Yeah, there's too many of them, actually.
Okay.
They're annoying. Dean Chartier, $600 from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Hey, John and Adam, great work. I think this makes me a knight, $200, and he's got some counting.
Yeah.
Sorry for the delay in topping this up. If I could mention Tom Merritt's Daily Tech News Show, that would be great. He loves you guys. He does?
Yeah, he's talked about us.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, he thinks the value for value model is a good idea.
We have a link to patreon.com Ace Detective to support the daily best tech news out there. Keep up the great work. Dean Chartier in Calgary.
Thank you very much.
Which is where all the money is.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dean. It's highly appreciated. And we'll be knighting you as well today. Nice. It's a great day.
Now, Daniel DeWest came in with $500 from Buchenbach, Deutschland.
Yeah.
And he wrote an extremely long note. I don't know if we've read this in advance.
I read it. What's something wrong with my mic, man? What's going on here? What is hello?
Filter it in post.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Something's happening.
Oh, there he goes.
Something bad is going on. All right. Okay.
Let's see what we say.
Yeah, I'll send the file to you to fix and post.
Thank you. I'll filter it. It's something he starts off, and I don't know if we missed the beginning, but it says it frees you as well as the rest of us from a certain level of information.
You're missing the top line. I believe in the value for value model you both have used for your show, and then it frees you as well as the rest of us from a certain level of information control mandated by the state and their corporate partners. More people should consider value for value as a way of distributing content, whether journalistic or artistic. Yes, I agree.
It was not long ago, he continues, that journalists and artists had joined together in order to create an independent platform to circulate and distribute ideas and commentary, some more interesting and influential than others. One example is the Russian formalists from 1910 to 1930, who sought, maybe I should do this in the right voice, who sought an alternative perspective on language and art, and who, when writers were still dangerous to the state, were eventually condemned and hounded by Stalin and the authorities because their ideas were not simple enough for the people. Many writers either followed the state dictates or fled, or were imprisoned and tortured.
This was actually, his whole note is quite beautiful, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to put his whole note into the show notes so people can read it, because it's
a good note. It's very long.
Yeah, but it's some historical perspective about what we're doing, and how it relates to history. And do you remember, John, maybe 10 years ago, that particularly liberals were all concerned about the arts?
Well, they generally always...
Well, no, that's not true, because now it's STEM. Now, do you remember it was like, It's an outrage.
Yeah, where's art? It should be STEM.
The kids have, they only have 1 hour of art class, 1 hour of music. This is no good. It's going to be horrible. And now they're all STEM. Yes, science, technology, engineering, and math. And
that's
art.
An interesting point, and I would give you 1 point for a valid assertion or observation.
Yeah, and so here is Daniel de West from Deutschland, who is saying, hey, there was a time when artists were condemned, and it looks like those times are back upon us, my friend.
Yes, and he says those who do nothing are surely doing something.
Yeah.
Negative. But anyway, I want to thank him. I don't see that he made night with this, but if he did, please let us know, and we'll throw it on the list next time.
Yeah.
So Random Hillbillies in for $333.33 from Elkins, West Virginia, your old stomping grounds.
Mm-hmm.
John, I was going to send this for the Sunday show, but I was too busy getting ready for my new job. I use my new job karma to send to all producers that 2014 will be the most excellent. Our water is fine, but my Adderall supply is critical, although we're stocked with weed to make it through the winter.
You'll do fine, Sir Random Hillbilly. Thank you for your support, as always, from West Virginia. Sir
Gene Natulyev.
That is the Baron de Marriott, the sheriff of Texas.
The sheriff of Texas, 33333 out of Austin. Call out to Shane Patton as a douchebag. Being a long-time no agenda listener, doing very well financially and not donating.
It's an outrage, I tell you.
So Craig Porter's here with $200 from Jacksonville, Florida. Hi, John and Adam. I had an emergency appendectomy today, so I'd like to request some recovery karma.
Wow.
While I'm sitting here in the hospital. Mac and cheese is what set off the whole episode. And so if I could somehow get a fuck mac and cheese. I just gave him that so you can give him a karma.
Yeah, okay. That was kind of crazy.
You've got karma.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that mac and cheese set it off, man. That's bad.
Yeah, did you eat mac and cheese and it's caused this problem?
1 2 1 2. Something was wrong with me here.
What happened?
I don't know.
You sound fine on my end.
No. 2 2 1 2. 2 1 2 1 2. Shit. 2 1 2. Hold on, John.
Okay.
2 1 2 2 2. What is going on? 2 1 2 2 1 2 2 1 2. Fuck. 2. Something's weird. All right. Well, carry on, dear friend.
Are you recording?
Yeah, I'm recording.
Okay. People are going to be able to count to 2 now.
People are like, 3. Say 3.
Jason Kirk in Cogan, I don't know, station, Pennsylvania.
It's Cogan Station, I think.
Yeah, I think so. $200, and he has a note that he mailed.
Okay.
In the morning, Bob and Ray. I've been wanting to ditch my boner status for some time now, and I finally decided I've waited far too long. And I figured if I'm going to do it, I might as well become a producer at the same time.
Hell yeah.
If you would, kindly de-douche me, and if you could get some financial karma my way, it would be very greatly appreciated, as I'm trying to actually save money and put away for retirement, but I'm finding that life doesn't make that an easy task. Also, I'll let you two pick something off the soundboard to play, as I don't feel I've donated enough to boss you two around just yet. And P.S., he says, keep up the great work, and he says, P.S., tell the gay crusader he did a great job on the white paper that I've already started hitting people in the mouth with.
Awesome. Let me just do this de-douche. Hold on a second.
You've been de-douched. You've got karma.
Hold on one second, John.
Yeah, so we have these mechanical problems have been plaguing me for a while.
This is it's not necessarily a mechanical problem, but
it could be electrical.
No, actually, it is. It seems like a potentiometer.
Well, when my car, I talked about this on the
your cruise control stopped working.
I'm driving along, and then boom, cruise control dies on me. Of course, my car's 20 years old.
Yeah,
but still, I said, my car's too old. And then I'm poking it, I'm turning it on and off and trying to add nothing. And so then I'm coming back, it still doesn't work. Then all of a sudden it starts working fine.
Yeah.
Well, I just found that to be peculiar.
I had a problem back in the day. In 1988, I had a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow 2. Remember those days when I was rich? And it had a cruise control that stopped working. But this cruise control, the way the Brits did it, and you can look this up, in this particular vehicle, they used a bellows. An actual...
The Brits have the weirdest inventions.
Yeah, it was a bellows, and the bellows would get suctioned, and that's what would then... Because for some reason, they always had to have something in between the control and the actual electronic or the actual mechanics. So they had... It's like this bellows, and the bellows, air would get sucked in, and then that would pull the accelerator cable. But, of course, the bellows was made of rubber, and it wasn't a new car. And it eventually, it just gets leaky and porous, and then the cruise control stopped working. And that's your little car history for today.
Somebody gave me a story once about how you tune a British Triumph motorcycle and how screwy the whole way it works is. It's just weird. Anyway, let's get back to our people. What was that?
I didn't say anything.
Did board go out on me again?
No. Hello. I'm here. Hello.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
Did your cruise control go out?
Christian Schlatter in Untersiggenthal, Switzerland. Enjoy your show a lot. Please don't make it shorter. By the way, Davos is spelled with S at the end, since it is part of the German-speaking part of Switzerland.
So we're supposed to say Davos?
It's spelled that way. It didn't say pronounced that way.
Okay.
But I think that maybe you do pronounce it that way.
I guess.
Davos.
Joel
Obando in Cumming, Georgia. In the morning, gentlemen, the first donor, I'd like to ask for forgiveness and a de-douching, since I've been listening to the show for 6 months and I have not invested in the show.
Uh-oh.
Your donation levels of late have made me concerned that the experiment of value for value may fail, and thus no more of your deep insight and analysis of day-to-day media bullcrap. I will step up my donations once I get my degree. He's another student.
Another student. I love that.
But for now, you have a slice of my alcohol and you have a slice of my alcohol annual allowance. Please give me some karma since I'm moving to a new apartment in March. Now, what's funny here, we had the two notes that came in by email. Both of them wanted the same thing, a de-douching and a karma. Isn't that interesting? Kind of a coincidence? Part of the random number 3.
Yeah, let's hand it out to him right now. And thank you very much for your courage.
You've been de-douched. You've got karma.
Nice.
That concludes our executive and associate executive producer segment of the show. And remind people that we do have another show coming up on Sunday, which was kind of a failure in terms of our support last week. NoAgendaShow.com, NoAgendaNation.com have donate buttons. Also, Dvorak.org/NA, which is the key support page, and also ChannelDvorak.com if you can't find that.
And I want to thank Surface of FEMA 5, who has registered 2030.com, spelled full out, 2030.com. And he also registered 2030.org, both of them, of course, pointing to noagendashow.com along with the 2030 Club. Lots of articles in the show notes today regarding 2030. This meme is really happening. In fact, NPR even propagated it just the other day. Here's NPR.
Although it's better than simply doing nothing.
And by the way, NPR apparently has to have British people all the time now because it sounds so much more official, I guess.
Nothing at all. It's not an awful lot better.
Doug Parr of Greenpeace. He claims the world must cut carbon emissions by at least 55% before the year 2030. But the EU is proposing a 40% cut instead.
Yeah, baby. Join the 2030 Club. You can make lots of money. Send money to us. It's a great system. We continue to propagate 2030 as the year of Armageddon. That's right. Hello?
Yeah, it's the year of Armageddon.
Yeah, I don't know if you're around. I mean, you're not saying anything. With all of our mechanical problems, we don't know what's going to happen. So, yes.
Wheels will be falling off of things.
Sunday, we do have another show. Please support the program by going to
Dvorak.org/NA.
And, of course, we would like you to do one thing always. Go out and propagate the formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order Monsanto. Shut up, slave.
Just mixing it up. Just mixing it up a little bit. Wow, I have so much. There's just too much for the show today. But most importantly, I think we need to thank Brian Heiss, known as Brian the Gay Crusader, who released the 129-page white paper.
I didn't expect it to be such a monster.
Did you?
He left no stone unturned.
Yeah, and as I worked with him on this, so he did the work, but he would send me chapters and his main thing was I don't want anyone to be able to get any leeway. Every base has to be covered. I would hate it, he said, if someone figured out a way to essentially look at this, it's bull crap. And I think he pretty much got all the bases covered, really.
Yeah,
I think he really.
This is like a screed from a paranoid. There was nothing he left out, and nobody can argue against it. I think that's why it didn't get any, because there wasn't none of these, these picky guys, the guys who say, the Star Trek uniform, that left badge is down an inch further than it should be according to the Star Trek manual.
And so he's now people have been they've been hitting people in the mouth with it, of course. But also been posting it on the gay Reddit subreddit, like almost no one guy. Of course, like the gays are the last people to find this interesting, which irks me to no end. But then you put it on another Reddit and got a couple of nice, really nice comments. And I think one was, I felt so foolish for not seeing this for what it really was. These are just comments. I was honestly convinced that Russia was making moves to grossly violate human rights. I effing hate how effective and coordinated U.S. propaganda is.
It is good.
Someone else said,
"We're the best."
Someone said, "This disappoints me." This is why people hate America, because propaganda is so thorough. Yeah, no kidding.
Well, that's what Goebbels was. He became a great propagandist because he World War I.
There is no R in Goebbels.
Yeah, whatever.
Just letting you know.
We mispronounce a lot of names. I like saying Goebbels.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
And there was a lot of propaganda done in World War I that made the Germans look like a bunch of monkeys and all the rest of it. And we found it, we too can play at that game, and he was pretty good.
So as I've been looking at a lot of these groups and what is happening, and of course this comes kind of right on time that this white paper comes out, because a lot of weird things are happening based on this propagandistic move, which was started by Harvey Fierstein of all people. But just to give you an idea of really how annoying, to me this is very, very annoying, that based upon this lie, we now have Melissa Etheridge, certainly one of the most well-known lesbians when it comes to celebrities, with Uprising of Love. And you really, John, please go to uprisingoflove.org, which has Hangouts on the air powered by Google. Yes, join Uprising of Love in support of the safety and dignity of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex Russians. Are you kidding me? You are now officially using this to raise money for gay activists in Russia? And look at the people who are on board with this. Look at this. Ugh. And all these people should be shamed for not looking really into... I'm fine.
What a crowd.
I mean, we've got Andy Cohen. Here's Madonna, Ed Harris, Alan Cumming. Just the whole... Everybody's on board without even looking at what's happening. And look at the sponsorships. And then I'm like, who is behind this? If you go to Donate Now, and you know me, I love finding all the organizations that are, a part of this. And I was able to trace this back through 3 nonprofits. This is how disgusting this is to me. Is this nonprofits based on nonprofits based on nonprofits, and if you follow it all the way through, this Uprising of Love, you ultimately get to the Arcus Foundation, who are apparently paying for this, and I guess they'll be taking the money in. And the Arcus Foundation is pretty much solely maintained by John Lloyd Stryker, which is a great porn name, by the way. But he's not a porn artist. He's an American architect, philanthropist, and activist for social and environmental causes. He is a billionaire stockholder and heir to the Stryker Corporation medical supply company fortunes of his grandfather, Homer Stryker. His net worth is estimated $1.2 billion. So he put a whole bunch of stock into this foundation. So it's heavily front-loaded, got lots of dough. And people are soaking the guy. They're soaking him. He's gay. And he's a big... He primarily, the Arcus Foundation supports 2 causes, sexual orientation and gender equality, and apes. Which is an interesting combo. Apes and gays. I don't know why, but that seems to be his main things. But I'm really annoyed about this entire group of people. And let's add to that, we have a big concert coming up, sponsored by Human Rights Amnesty International, bringing human rights home with Madonna and Pussy Riot. Everyone is going to, this is money making. They're taking money for tickets. Everyone's paying themselves. You can look at the Form 990s. I've linked it all in the show notes. Everybody gets paid. Everybody gets a salary. Everybody gets their expenses taken care of. And then whatever's left over, we're going to send to some other nonprofit in Russia because the poor gays apparently have no money to be activists or whatever. Don't fall for this, people. This is bull. Bringing human rights home. The Amnesty concert. Pussy Riot. Yeah, that's a great show. Have you ever actually heard Pussy Riot perform?
You might as well have 3 versions of Yoko Ono.
It's sad. It makes me mad. We're big proponents of the LGBTQI community. And this is a ripoff. It's just people just scamming money.
This is a shocker to you.
You know what? I want the gays and the lesbians and the transgenders and the intersex and the bisexuals and the queer and curious and whatever. I want you to understand that there are people who are just taking money just because it's what they do. They don't give up. They don't care. It's all pretend. It's like Haiti. The money isn't actually going towards anything. It's just to have a concert and everyone to go, oh, it's like change your Twitter icon. That's what it's the equivalent. It's change your Twitter icon. It's not really doing anything. And the BBC, of course, continues to propagandize. They had a great report. Here it is. Interviewing the mayor of Sochi with, of course, a translation voice in voiceover, so we don't really know what the mayor said, but it's all right. The message is clear.
It's a big question for some Olympians and Paralympians. as to how they will be treated in Russia. And to find out more, we're going to a place with no name and no sign above the door. The reason? It's a gay bar.
So the guy is in Sochi.
There's plenty of places.
And he's walking.
The reason there's no name is, what if there was a name? It couldn't be a gay bar?
This is such a propaganda report.
Russia's new law bans the promotion of non-traditional sexuality to under-18s. Critics say the law is draconian and it effectively outlaws gay rights protests.
So that notice how the report only highlights what one side says. Critics say, it doesn't say what other people think or what may be a conversation. No. It's draconian and it outlaws homosexuality just across the board. BBC.
So how does the mayor feel about gay people in Sochi?
We don't have them in our town.
You don't have them in the town.
The mayor apparently says we don't have gays in our town. This is the BBC report.
You sure?
I'm not sure. I don't bloody know them.
I went to a gay bar last night.
I don't bloody know them. I don't know if there is a Russian word that translates the way bloody translates in British English. Which is, if you say bloody, that's a worse swear word than fuck. So, this is a very skewed translation.
Will gay people be welcome to the Sochi Olympics?
Our hospitality will be extended to everyone who respects the laws of the Russian Federation and who doesn't impose their habits and their will on others. But yes, everyone is welcome.
All right. And then it goes on and on and on and on. It's just more of the same. So please, people, download a copy of the white paper. It is in the show notes today, and you can find it under the F Russia column. And, of course, we've tweeted links to it as well. And if you are a subscriber to the newsletter, and we always have a link to subscribe to the newsletter in every single copy of our show notes, then you will have already received your copy, and it's quite an enjoyable read. I think it's a good job. I think there's a lot of legalese in there, which you can skim past the bits you want to, but it's very colorful, and it kind of shows what we've been saying all along, that gays are mistreated worse in the United States of America and in many other countries. And that is not discussed at all. It is not propagandized, and it's obvious that we need to make the Russians look bad.
Well, and this is all, at least one train of thought is that because Putin took in Snowden.
Yeah. And
he needs to be punished. And so there we're punishing him. This is going to make him look like an idiot, and it continues from there. So since we're talking about that part of the world, let's jump to the Ukraine, which we're not following close enough.
I do have a few things, but what do you have?
Well, why don't you throw your stuff out there?
Well, I saw an interesting news piece. Heiko Hermann, the president of the Eurolands, and he welcomed Putin to Brussels. And I heard something, and I decided to investigate. Here's a little snippet of this report.
A more stable economic and institutional environment, improved market access, and intensified trade relations will strengthen demand and create new business opportunities for all. There can be different interpretations and misunderstandings on the association agreements. And that's why we both agreed to pursue bilateral consultations at expert level on the Eastern Partnership Association Agreements and the economic consequences on both sides. The European Union is closely following the developments in Ukraine and strongly condemns violence. We call for restraint, and those responsible have to be held to account. We want the fundamental freedoms, such as the freedom of expression and assembly, preserved.
When I heard this report, I heard Eastern Partnership. And that apparently Putin had to come to Brussels because there was some confusion about the interpretation. And this could only mean one thing. That there's some agreement that we're not aware of. That Putin is a part of. And lo and behold, the Eastern Partnership, the European Union and Eastern Europe. And I have the documents right here in the show notes. The Eastern Partnership is a joint initiative involving the European Union, EU member states, and Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine. Now, if you look at all these particular countries on the map, they have one very specific thing in common.
They have a border with Russia, probably.
Yeah, a border between Russia and the EU. So Belarus is interesting because Belarus is right above Ukraine. And these are all pipeline. I just call them pipeline states.
Yeah, there's something. There's also you have to always understand the geopolitical aspect of this too. Pipeline. If you're Russia sending stuff out and you have all these border countries, yeah, they're all going to be pipeline states because you can't get there from here. You have to go through one of these countries.
Right.
But Russia has traditionally, since the 1700s, and that's why the Soviet Union formed, developed this method of protecting itself because the Europeans kept attacking them, not beginning with, but even pre-Napoleon. And so they put buffer states between the mother Russia and the Europeans who are always trying to blow in there. I mean, even Napoleon tried it, Hitler tried it. And so they feel this need to have these. They don't want to be bumped up against anything that's European, even though there's culturally the Ukrainians are never going to be very European. But so this is like a paranoid thing that goes way beyond and goes a lot deeper than just worrying about pipelines. They're freaky.
Well, there's an actual agreement. It's called the DCFTA. This is what they were discussing in Brussels. And I have to tell you that this is a lot of theater, John. What's going on is a very clear European Union, Ukraine agreement. It's called Deep and Comprehensive Free Trade Area, the DCFTA.
Well, you might be implying that there is an extortion game going on here too, because obviously if you're going to do a deal with the Russians that includes all these other states have to be part of the deal. It can't all of a sudden be part of the EU.
No, but this is the mistake I think I certainly was making, and in believing that somehow Ukraine was being asked to join the EU. Nothing could be further from the truth. The Deep and Comprehensive Free Trade Area, DCFTA, is part of the association agreement between the EU and the Republic of Ukraine. These association agreements are this is not becoming part of the European Union. It is a free trade agreement. Chapter 1, remove customs duties on imports and exports.
Right, but wasn't this separate from the deal done that the Russians did, which included the Ukrainian deal?
No, the
Ukrainians stopped this. I mean, the Russians stopped, or somebody, or actually the president of the Ukraine suspended the preparations for signing that agreement you're talking about.
And why? Because Putin had to go to Brussels because, as you heard the president just say, the interpretation of the details was problematic. So they're hashing out some detail, and Putin's a part of this. This whole thing in Ukraine is just, I'm totally believing now that it is only about one agreement, and it's about the numbers, and both sides just start this crap in Ukraine just to get everyone to the table. And Putin did go to the table. He went to Brussels to work on this deal, specifically on this deal, because of the interpretation.
So you don't think, if I'm not mistaken, from your perspective, you don't think the State Department's behind all the bull crap going on in the Ukraine?
Yes, I think the State Department is behind one half of the bull crap, and I think the Russian State Department is behind the other half of the bull crap.
Well,
Absolutely.
let's look at our State Department. Ours is more interesting than theirs. Let's hear about the Ukrainian using social media in much the same way, although Kerry's not as good.
This is how we do it, man. This is what we do.
But Kerry's not as good as Hillary. At least his people aren't as good as Hillary. So it's a little slipshod.
Well, he has no leadership. He doesn't lead his people.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
No.
But let's play Ukraine Twitter and catch up with what's going on.
When we don't lay siege to administration, we lay siege to Twitter. This tweet posted by a Ukrainian web user sums up an operation launched by anti-government protesters on Monday amid the ongoing protests which began over 2 months ago in and around Kiev's Independence Square, now dubbed Euromaidan by demonstrators. The activist initiative called upon supporters of the movement the world over to post tweets in massive numbers to show support for the anti-government protesters in Ukraine and call for backing from the international community. The online campaigning propelled the Digital Maiden hashtag to #1 position on Twitter, topping worldwide trending topics.
Yeah, well, of course. What do we have to change it now? Is there a particular icon?
Well, I haven't gotten that far, but digitalmaiden.com is kind of the thing you want to look at, and it's spelled with an A.
Right. M-A-I-D-E.
Digital Maiden, M-A-I-D-A-N.
Yeah.
And Maidan actually refers to the square that's in the Ukraine. And so we're now have a digital version, in other words, a virtual version of this giant square. And so now we're having the same thing that we saw when we had this little strife between Georgia and Russia. And we have a website.
I have a little interesting tidbit for you regarding Ukraine. Chapter 9, intellectual property. There are big problems with patents and geographical indications known as GIs. The protection will be immediate for most EU GIs. This is brand names, but some names long used by Ukrainian producers will be phased out over different periods of time. You ready for the names?
I'm all ears.
Champagne, Cognac, Madeira, Porto, Jerez, Sherry, Calvados, Grappa, Anise, Portuguese, Armagnac, Marsala, Malaga, and Toca. Those have 10 years to be phased out. Apparently, you can't use those words.
Well, for good reason.
And 7 years for Parmigiano, Reggiano, Roquefort, and Feta. Who knew? Yeah. Feta is a brand name.
I didn't know about Feta being a protected name.
I had no idea about that either.
I wonder about that one because Feta is made in too many countries. It's always called Feta. But the other stuff is a trademark violation that they've been fighting. The champagne people in particular, they were fighting because we used to use the word champagne on our sparkling wines, and I think we still do in some instances, but it's not champagne unless it comes from Champagne. The French are always irked when they see some cheap plonk with the name champagne on it when it's not champagne. It's just this bubbling wine.
The parties commit themselves to let market prices prevail on the domestic gas and electricity markets and not to regulate prices for industry. Neither party will impose prices for exporting energy products which are higher than domestic prices. As a part of the treaty, interrupting transit or taking energy goods from transit that are destined for the other party is prohibited. That's what this is about. It's about transit of energy. And Putin just wants to make sure that that everything works for him.
Well, they definitely want to get Putin wants to keep Yanukovych, and our State Department wants to get rid of him because this site, that the Digital Maiden site, is run by a New York public relations company.
Which company is that?
You can go to it. Its website is gobwd.com.
GOBWD.com?
Yeah, GOBWD.com. GoBWD.
Huh.
And they're the ones who own this website, if you look into it, and they're the ones that are pushing the Digital Maiden thing. And they've got some, and it's a very interesting company. They have a... They're just an all-purpose, international group.
Yeah, good find. I like this a lot.
Yeah, so you can, and so this, and that's the State Department side of things. It has to be, or it's possible. The only there's an outside chance because the guy is so rich that the boxer that's there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know who you mean.
What's their last name of these two guys? They're brothers, and the guys they're worth millions and millions of dollars, and they can easily. It's cost you about $10,000 to work with BWD to put together something, and they do a little better. I don't know if they're doing a good job on purpose, and by making the website look like it could be like homegrown because it's crappy looking, the Digital Maiden site, or they're just a crappy operation. But their website is slick enough to make me think that they've specifically, because if you remember the Georgia sites that we looked at, it was way too slick for a grassroots thing.
Well, they also have here the Ukrainian Genocide Awareness website, which is a charity organization.
Yeah, that probably refers back to that Russian that starvation thing the Russians did to a bunch of to the whole country.
Yes. Holodomor.
Right, people need. It's like the Armenians are still irked about that.
By the way, progress of agreements according to the EU Eastern Partnership. Ukraine was supposed to, if it says here, if conditions met, Ukraine should have signed in 2013. Georgia and Moldova to initial in 2013. Azerbaijan, that's the big one because that's where they've got all of the that's Baku, that's where all the oil fields are, the gas field. That's huge. Still negotiating the agreement. Armenia, process discontinued. And Belarus, so far, no negotiations. But I would say with Ukraine the way it is, if they don't work it out with Putin, I'd say Belarus is on deck next. I mean, they're just above Ukraine. It's a great, it's just as good, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen too. We're in a pretty good. So Vitaly Klitschko, who is the guy who's always giving the speeches, and he's in the Ukraine, and he was actually meeting with the head guy a couple of days ago. He has a net worth of $65 million, which goes a long way to doing some damage in a country like the Ukraine. So that's not bad.
You can get a lot of hours from a PR company, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What else you got from Ukraine?
The other part is just the second half of the Twitter stuff. That's what kind of triggered the whole thing. But it's obvious our State Department, if Vitaly's not doing the whole thing himself, we've got to be in on this.
Let me play the second bit, see what's in there.
A purpose-built website had a list of pre-written tweets cyber activists could use to target international media outlets, for example, and urge them to investigate suspicions that Moscow sent troops to Russia to help Kiev suppress the unrest. Other tweets reached out to Western political leaders such as Barack Obama or David Cameron, urging them to impose sanctions on Ukraine in response to the continued use of violence against protesters. This YouTube video has been relaying a similar message. It features activists asking web users from across the globe to lobby their political representatives and ask them to take targeted measures against the Ukrainian authorities.
Right. No, and obviously it's...
There's some funny videos coming out of there. There was one about a week ago where Vitaly Klitschko, they were rioting a little too much at the moment. And so he's standing in front of some bus with his microphone telling him to calm down. And some guy, I guess he had a fire extinguisher, and it was a powder. Just let the entire extinguisher go onto Vitaly, just to cover him.
Cool. Have you ever unloaded a powder fire extinguisher?
I've sprayed one once.
My God, that's fun.
It's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, it never ends. Yeah.
I remember one time, as a side story, I was working for Ford Motor Company.
Was this?
And so there was a small fire that had broken out on top of one of the paint booths, and it was just a little fire, and it was just starting to go. And some guy freaks out, and he grabs one of these things, one of the powder ones, and he pulls the trigger on it, and it had nothing in it.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
And I'm wondering how many of these... We found one that finally worked, but it was like, I was wondering how many dead fire extinguishers are all over the place to give you the sense of confidence.
Yeah, they have an absolute shelf life. As a part of when I had the aircraft, when I had the Cessna, you have to have a fire extinguisher on board, and it has to be replaced. I think it's probably every year. It has a date on it, and it's done, and you got to get rid of it, got to get a new one.
Well, or you have to have it reloaded, depending. I have one. I have one of the giant, huge. The thing is almost 100 pounds. CO2 fire extinguisher that came off of a Liberty ship that was being destroyed, chopped up in Richmond. And they had all these fire extinguishers outside, and they were just, if you wanted one, you could just take it. And so I took it, and this thing had just put out a house fire. But it also has to be looked at or refilled every so often.
It does. Have you heard these reports from the UK about people not being able to access their money at HSBC?
Yeah. It's all over the place. There's been 2 or 3 stories, and most of them, the one that's on the mainstream media in the U.S. goes like this. Guy goes in, then this is the right-wing radio guys use this meme. Guy goes in to HSBC, and he says, I want to take out $10,000. And then they start grilling him. Why do you want the money? He says, because my mother, I owe her $10,000, and I want to pay it back to her. I don't know why he doesn't write her a check, but okay. And the guy says, no.
This is UK. They don't have checks. But he wants.
That would make sense.
He wants to take it out cash and then give it cash. It's about the cash. It's about actually taking it out of the system.
No, you can't do it. He says, well, what can I take out? I said, I can't tell you. Well, okay, I want to take out 5,000. No. Can't take out what? No. He says, well, okay, I want to take out 4. No. 3. Can I take out 3? Yeah, you can take out 3. Well, can I come back in 10 minutes and take out another 3? He says, no. It's 3 a day. That's the story as it's been floating around, hand to mouth.
But this, by the way, will happen to you in America too. If you go to a bank and say, I want to take out, if you have it, if you say, I want to take out $10,000 or $20,000, they will not say, oh, here you go, sir. The manager will come out, he'll talk to you about it, and the reason is fractional banking. Because 10,000, you can multiply that times, I think it's 100 or times 90 or something.
That's not the only reason.
Well, it's a big reason.
Stop. You can finish this, but there's a lot of scammers that have been ripping off old ladies, for example.
Sure.
And they always demand that the old lady this has been well documented. They go to the bank to take some of their savings out to give to the scammer because he's going to fix the roof or whatever, and the bank will grill the old lady about this, and then they find out who this is that's going to get the money, and then they'll call the police. So it's not just fractional banking that's at issue here.
Okay. So you're saying that if you go to the bank and this happens to you, that is because your bank is protecting you because there might be, you're an old guy and, we have to really be careful because someone could be tricking John. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think I can walk into the mechanics bank tomorrow and take $10,000 out in cash, put it back if I want to or not, without anybody saying anything.
Okay. I've heard these stories happening all over, and I'm sure there's a part of that, but if you look at all the stories...
I agree. No, these banks they don't have any money.
Well, yeah, they
exactly. Probably that 10,000 was all they have.
That often is the case. That's all they have on hand in the actual bank is maybe 10 grand in cash. Yeah, it's funny. But I mean, so of course this is being played in the alternative media as bank run, collapsing. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, this being played funny, I have to agree, but the story is interesting.
But more interesting is the bankers who are killing themselves, suiciding themselves. We have the J.P. Morgan executive who plunged to his death. 33 stories. Oops. Always love that.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
33 stories.
Yeah. There's and so let me see.
Wink.
Let's see. 39-year-old J.P. Morgan banking executive died this morning after he jumped. He only jumped 500 feet from the top of the bank's European headquarters. It's a 33-story skyscraper, which is mentioned ad nauseum.
They got to get the 33 in there.
2 days earlier, fellow American banker was found hanging in his South Kensington home. Who still kills themselves by hanging? This also is the way that this assistant to Lamar Alexander killed himself.
Yeah, hanging.
By hanging. I looked into this because this pedo bear stuff is always interesting. I looked into the actual complaints / indictments. He left a letter, which is published This guy's name is Jesse Ryan Loskarn. And so there's now a website, Jesse Ryan Loskarn's lastmessage.com, wherein his parents have handed over apparently a letter, not a suicide note, but a note of him apologizing and then saying that he was abused and how this led up to his interest in child pornography. But if you look at the actual documentation, there's something very sketchy about this. What happened is he downloaded 2 movies, both which involved very young female children. Very graphic, by the way, the description in the police documents, which actually it's the postal fraud unit. And so he downloaded these two movies. This is all that it's about. 2 movies, and they were made available from his IP address on Gnutella. And that's what they busted him on. They came to his house. The claim is that he put a removable hard drive on the roof or outside the window, which they then retrieved. And of course, we don't really know if they, that could be placed there, that's the way it's written in the document.
Especially if it's outside.
Yeah, it's very sketchy. The guy never admitted that he placed it there. And on that drive were these 2 movies. And this entire thing is based upon these 2 videos.
2 movies on some dubious hard disk that seems to be outside.
Yes. That's
and
it.
Easily retrievable.
That's it.
Not just outside, but outside where they can get it.
Outside outside the window where they got it from outside. And they claim they saw him place it there, which, of course.
And why would you do that?
Exactly. So the whole thing is rather sketchy. And the fact that the trial was coming up. It happened in December. The trial's supposed to be in February. Child pornography is a huge problem, but for them to track down these 2 movies, and I'm not quite sure how this came about. It's like, do we have is the mail postal fraud service just tracking Gnutella IP addresses? This is very unclear to me. And I would say that this looks like it's a part of something much, 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 much bigger that he may have been involved in.
Or he knows something about.
Yeah, it was one thing for sure. If you want to look at child trafficking and child pornography and child abuse, Washington, D.C. and surrounding areas, pretty good place to go. And I have a couple links in the show notes, specifically about D.C., the D.C. area, and it's out of control. We'll never know, of course. We'll never know exactly what's going on. We'll never know.
There's no 33 involved, apparently.
No. I couldn't find a 33. But wow.
So I picked up a bunch of interesting little sub-clips from the hearings, different hearings. And by different douchebags. Now, there's some of them are just laced with really interesting information that we don't normally know about. I would like to put a couple of those out. There's this Durbin, who's, I don't know what he was trying to prove, but he decided to reveal all kinds of statistics and facts that I thought was quite interesting. This is the facts and figures of the federal prison system.
But we talked about a federal prison population.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait. That is actually, that's the facts and figures from, this is Leahy. We can skip that for now when I get to this other one. Where is the federal? It's the Charlie Rose drones within the play this one. This is another one of these. This is the one that talks about drones within the U.S. and this is, I think, is Leahy.
And this is from which senatorial thing?
This is from the Justice Department Oversight Committee.
What plans does Justice Department have to use drones within the U.S. for law enforcement purposes, and what kind of safeguards are being developed? The Orwellian aspect of them I find very chilling.
With regard to these use of these unmanned aerial systems, at this point, the only component within the department that is using them in an operational way is the FBI. And I think we have to understand that if used appropriately, they can serve a useful purpose.
That's Holder does that a lot when he's lying.
I don't think if you remember the young child who was held hostage in a tunnel. I think it was in Georgia or Alabama, someplace.
No, I don't remember that. Do you remember that?
No,
I don't remember this at all.
Use was made of a drone in that case and proved decisive in resolving that situation in a good way. The Inspector General in the Justice Department has recommended that we come up with a uniform system of rules and regulations within the department to control how these devices are used, and that is something that I support and something that we will be developing.
And that I'd like to work with you on the development, and I think other members of the committee on both sides of the aisle.
You can stop that clip. I'll summarize. We're getting drones.
Yeah, and currently the U.S. Customs has grounded their drone fleet after they had to crash a drone off the coast there in California.
I think these things are hackable.
No, they're not just hackable. It's just it's in general, it's just not a great idea. It's just not a great idea. It's good to have airmen.
Yeah, well, those days are going to be over, as you predicted.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now this is the clip. This is the one that's got the facts and figures. This is kind of interesting. This is Gitmo Facts and Figures.
But we talked about a federal prison population. This is something of concern to many of us here.
Facts and Figures?
I'm sorry. I thought you were setting it up differently. Here's Gitmo Facts and Figures.
Wheels of Justice question number 2. 155 detainees remain at Guantanamo. I want to say for the record, this has been the subject of a lengthy debate here in Congress. The president made his intentions clear when elected to close Guantanamo, and yet resistance in Congress has thwarted him from accomplishing that. For those who want an establishment of the record, over 500 people have been convicted of terrorism and terrorism-related crimes through our judicial process since 9/11 in federal courts. In contrast, there have been 6 convictions and 1 plea agreement from Guantanamo's military commissions. 2 of those convictions have been overturned. The most dangerous terrorists who've been convicted through our judicial system reside in our prison system, and the worst of the worst in maximum security. We spend, on average, $78,000 a year in facilities like Florence, Colorado, maximum security, to hold the most dangerous criminals in America, including the most dangerous terrorists, and there has never, ever, ever been an escape or a question that they would escape. We are spending, for the 155 detainees in Guantanamo, on average, not $78,000 a year, $2.7 million a year per detainee. It is an outrageous waste of taxpayers' dollars.
Is it not so that the president can just use his phone and his pen and just close it?
Well, that clip that you had last week or last show.
Yeah, where
that's what he said he was going to do. He's going to use an executive order to close it.
Why doesn't he just do this now?
Well, you tell me.
Now, we were going to start a process to start reviewing the 155 detainees in the hopes that we could dispose of some, dismiss some, transfer some. It took a long time to get started. The wheels of justice, unfortunately, went very slowly. The president issued an executive order in March of 2011. The first periodic review board hearing at Guantanamo took place in November of last year. And earlier this month, the board recommended the transfer of the first detainee in question. The second periodic review board hearing occurred yesterday. I'm glad to hear this progress has been made, but with 155 detainees, 71 of whom are eligible for evaluation, as Attorney General, we can't live long enough to go through this process. At $2.7 million a year per Guantanamo detainee.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I just heard that the president issued an executive order in November 2011. Is that not what he said?
Yeah. The executive order was to review the cases.
Review and disposition of individuals detained at the Guantanamo Bay Naval Base and disclosure of detention facilities. Okay, it's just a review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he hasn't done crap.
What a pussy EO. That's pussy.
Did you notice the one little phrase that Durbin uses in there? He says we need to review them so we can either move them or dispose of them.
Yes, yes, I did hear that. It's disposition, and the root word is dispose.
No, he didn't say disposition. He said dispose.
No, but I know, but he's saying it as based upon disposition.
Oh, yeah.
I think he did. I think disposition did come up somewhere.
Maybe, but he says dispose of them.
Well, listen, executive order, review and disposition of individuals. So I can totally see where a douchebag like this would say, yeah, that's the same as dispose of. Which is what's going to happen to all citizens of Gitmo Nation eventually.
They're going to just dispose of you.
Just dispose of you.
One of the things when you watch a lot of these hearings is you catch a little of this little... just some little needling that goes on, which I always think is the best part of these things.
Yeah.
And I caught one.
Oh.
And this is a needling that went on between Durbin, Grassley, and I believe Leahy. And this is the clip is the WTF Grassley amendment clip. And I don't even know this happened, but apparently Grassley passed an amendment to make it so that the Congress gets to be in the same boat as everyone else with Obamacare.
In the amount that you have, and I compliment you on that, Senator Durbin.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say for the record, it was the Grassley Amendment that brought us into this world in terms of bringing members of Congress and their staff into the Affordable Care Act, which we are now under. And if it was not complete when it came to anti-kickback and such, then we certainly want to make sure that it is. I would like to...
Colleagues didn't know that. Why did you have to tell them?
Well, I think every staff member in the Congress who are now paying considerably more for their health care know that it is the Grassley Amendment that did it.
Mr. Chairman, if...
Ha, ha, ha. That's hilarious.
Now, you'd think the right-wing radio guys would pick up on this. Because it's like everybody's paying a lot more because of Obamacare. Yeah. I just thought it was hilarious. And then, of course, they give the needle to Grassley, who's defending himself there, instead of, they got a hearing going on, but they have to bitch at each other. The last one I have is the facts and figures for the federal prison system, which also has a little stat in it that I thought was interesting.
But we talked about a federal prison population. This is something of concern to many of us here. It's grown by more than 500% in the last 30 years. And that's money that eating up money that can't be used to hire more prosecutors or agents or providing assistance to state and local law enforcement. In fact, the Inspector General said the Bureau of Prisons budget is at the top of its list of management challenges for the department, the top of the list. What is this increasing prison population doing to your other priorities?
Well, the budget now, the Bureau of Prisons budget takes up roughly a third of the Justice Department's entire budget, and it precludes us from doing a variety of other things that I know members of this committee are interested in. And
yeah, it ended.
I had no idea that the federal prison system took a third of the Justice Department's budget.
Yeah. It's a bonanza.
Yeah, it's a bonanza for these private companies that are exploiting these people.
It's a bonanza.
At the taxpayer's dime.
Yeah. And?
Yeah, well, okay.
And your point would be? Yeah. I said we take a little break. It's been a very long, looks like it's going to be a long show regardless. We were very late with our executive and associate executive producers. It's kind of a short list for the rest, but I think we should do it right now.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, oh No Agenda in the morning.
Let's start at this. We do have some people to thank. I want to start with David DeRoos.
De Roos
in Zwijndrecht. Yeah, I can see that. Holland. Sorry for about a year without donating on the verge of a job loss. I could really use some karma.
Wow. Let me just give that to him right now. Just why not?
You've got karma.
Hope that works.
Chris Turhart in Abbotsford, BC, which asks the question, who being loved is poor? Huh.
I like the question.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. David Bevers, Dusty Dave from Collinsville, Oklahoma, he does have a long note, which it's a really long note, which we've read. I'll send Adam a copy. And then we have another long note from, if my mouse would work.
Damien Schwalitz from Adelaide.
Yeah, in South Australia. If you see anything in there we should read, we will.
Yeah, it's 11111, and he says, to the business of making it rain, her name is Gina. She's smoking hot, likes to strap on a tool belt, and would love to strip in John's club. And he sent a picture.
I didn't get a picture.
Of her in a tool belt with a drill.
Nice.
Yeah. So she should be on the list for the club.
She's now on the list.
Yeah. I'll send you the picture. It's a good picture.
Anonymous in Nowhere, Oklahoma, $100. An unknown guy, which I'm going to. He sent this in by mail, and then I don't know where his name went because it's not on the letter.
Oh.
But it's a good letter. Thank you for the great product, full-time news delivery, and an interesting and provoking thinking analysis and ideas. He called himself the International Human Resource and mentioned a huge number as my resource ID.
Oh, I recall that.
Yeah, somehow when he read on the podcast, the big number distracted you from my karma request. This was some time ago, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is not a big deal, but I could have used some karma at the time. So he really needs job karma, and he sent us a couple $100, so we should send it to him.
Yes, and I would like to reiterate so everyone understands, we cut down these segments by promising to read executive and associate executive producer notes regardless, verbatim, whatever they send us. And everything else, we read all the notes, of course, but we just don't have the time to read everyone's note, and we give general purpose karma at the end. But of course, since today's list is relatively short, we can do it.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
We do like to do it.
Matt Stewart, 9999 in Princeton, Ontario. Rebecca McGinley in San Diego, 9999. She doesn't get the 9999.
Well, yeah, if you want.
Stacy St. Armand, Kingston, Ontario, 8686. Michael Kearns in Kansas City, Missouri.
69, dudes.
And that goes along with Shane O'Hare in Wasilla, Alaska, which is, I think, pronounced, he's in Kenai or something.
Kenai.
Damien Tayman in Perth, which is a place I've always wanted to visit.
I've been. It's beautiful. It's green. Perth is green.
Sir, that's what they say. Sir Brian Barrow and Wooten Bassett in Wiltshire, and that ends the 6969 segment. Michael Siegenthaler from Parts Unknown, 6666. Sir Jono, 5870, and Netanya Israel.
Whoa. We have a note. There was something we missed because we always break for dames and knights. Yes. Double insurance policy, so you do not forget the F cancer karma for my friend's wife. That's right. He had that on the last show, and we didn't. We glossed over that, which doesn't usually happen when we have something from one of our knights or dames. Also, I want to say that in this humble opinion of this night, I think John's analysis of the reasons for wanting to do away with the Electoral College and native advertising were outstanding and terrific material for hitting people in the mouth. Oh. And the Goracles bit at Davos had me peeing in my pants with laughter. What was that?
I don't know.
Unbelievable stuff. Sir Jono, Elder of Zion, and as requested...
You've got karma.
We always try to hook our knights and dames up. Sorry for the confusion.
Keith Gibson, Holly Springs, North Carolina, 5870. Robert Love, $56 from Orlando, Florida. Elliot Gardner, New York, Pennsylvania, 5555. Eric Hochul in Berlin, Deutschland, $52. Sir Kevin Payne in Chantilly, Virginia, $50. And these are all 50s. John Anderson, Lafayette, Louisiana. Peter Tote.
Stop. John, Ship at Sea reporting in from the Transocean-owned Discovery Spirit drill ship.
Oh, interesting.
You asked for Ship at Sea. Ships at Sea.
Yeah,
There's John Anderson.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Transocean Discoverer Spirit drill ship. Wow.
Yeah.
Drill ship. Peter Totes, $50 from Parts Unknown. Derek Kirkwood, Layton, Utah. James Butcher, Western Australia. Sir Alan Bean over here in Oakland. Hey, Alan. Bogdan Lachendro in Irvine, Texas.
Yeah.
And that closes our list of sub $200 donors, above $50 for show 587. Reminding people you can go to Dvorak.org/NA for 588.
Dvorak.org/NA. It's your birthday.
And we always like to call out the birthday boys and girls. Elliot Gardner says happy birthday to his brother, Sir Andrew Gardner of No Agenda Racing. He celebrated yesterday. And Derek Kirkwood, happy birthday. Ken the Power Plant Slave turned 54 on the 25th. Happy birthday from your friends here at the No Agenda Podcast Show.
It's your birthday, yeah.
And then we have 3 nightings today, which is very nice. Of course, 2 instant nights and one that topped up to reach the level desired. Your sword, please, sir. There we go. I'd like Andrew Wilson, Paul Dowd, Dean Chartier to step forward, please, gentlemen. All 3 of you have contributed to the best podcast in the universe, the amount of $1,000 or more, and hereby welcome you to the round table and pronounce thee Sir Andrew, Sir Paul, and Sir Dean all night to the No Agenda round table. For you, I've got Cuban cigars and single malt scotch, hot pants and booze, hookers and blow, rent boys and Chardonnay. If you swing that way, geishas and sake, bong hits and bourbon, mutton and mead, sparkling cider and escorts, and opium and warm orange juice. And please go to noagendanation.com/rings, pick up your ring, give all the information so Eric the Shill can get that off to you. And thank you again for supporting our program. We do another one on Sunday, No Agenda Show. Go to Dvorak.org/NA and support the work that we do, the analysis that we do, the risks that we take often. Personal risk.
What risks?
You never get it. Well, of course. Why do I even ask? Why do we even ask if you ever get any threats? I'm sure you don't. I get them all.
I probably don't. No, I haven't gotten any threats.
No.
People are threatening you?
All the time.
About what?
Yeah, let's start up some Jew-Muslim conversation, see how that works out again. That was really good.
Oh, yeah, you guys a topic you enjoy.
Yeah, I'm a risk taker. Turkey for a moment. I've been calling around to some sources to figure out what's happening. The Gulen, Fethullah Gulen, this is the imam who lives in, they call him, I love how the mainstream media calls him the moderate imam who lives in self-imposed exile in Pennsylvania. All right, hold on a second. I just need to...
Bullshit.
Right. The CIA helped him get his paperwork. He lives in a compound. And for the first time in 16 years, he did an interview with
you got me. This is the clip of the day already.
It wasn't worth clipping.
Oh.
I hate to say it. It really just wasn't. And of course, he speaks in Arabic. And so I have no idea if the translation is proper. And it was done for the BBC. And I think the fact that he did the interview is more interesting.
Big lead up to this dud.
What do you mean dud? It's not a dud. There's a lot going on with Turkey right now. Mainly that the Turkish central bank intervened, popped up interest rates to 12% because the Turkish lira was tanking against the dollar. It blew everything back up, and as of yesterday, the lira is now even lower than it was before. So it appears their mission has failed. But what I have learned from sources, the reason for the intervention from the Hizmet, or the Gulenists, is that Erdogan was moving too fast with the Islamification, and Gulen wants to slow it all down, and probably working with the CIA /State Department /Treasury, whatever, launched obviously there was an internal attack, but the financial attack may have been a part of it, to bring Erdogan down a bit, to make him, perhaps even some of his buddies may lose in the local elections coming up in March. But that's what the rift appears to be from the Gulen side, is that Erdogan, this has always been the plan. The plan was always to bring, to Islamify Turkey and spread out to Europe, and Gulen thinks Erdogan was going too fast.
Huh.
Yeah. And that comes from
going that fast to me. This all still stems from him wanting to level that one park and put in a big mall.
That's where it started, yeah.
Yeah, we always forget that one moment. And then it just kind of started to mushroom, and then our State Department, or one of somebody, probably us, decided to put the rubble patrol in there.
The rubble. But I think that's still the best strategy. Rubbleize it all.
Yeah, rubbleize it, and then you could sell them some construction work.
Oh, the president's going to Jordan pretty soon. Of course, we have tens of thousands of troops. Jordan is right near Syria, for those of you who don't have a map or don't care to look at the map. And they've been doing all kinds of practice drills for Syria. So I wonder if that is going to have some kind of effect on the Syria situation, as the President Obama will meet with King Abdullah II. I'm not quite sure what that means.
Means a good meal.
Yeah. Well, we're just not qualified to understand.
It's a good meal and probably some decent wine, maybe.
I do have a question for you. Sunday is the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
As
we think.
Well, there you go. As we know, I never watch sports, although I do have Winter Olympic fever.
Okay. That's right. We already talked about this. Yeah. I won't go into it again. You like skating.
Yeah, I like ice skating and even curling. There's some hot women in curling, by the way.
Yeah, I know those two Canadian sisters are pretty good looking.
Some hot chicks in curling. So we have the Super Bowl. Traditionally, we are able to call these. All these games are rigged. The fix is in is the heading in the show notes for those of you who wonder about it. We've called many events properly, even World Cup soccer. And
nailed it.
And now we yes we did
year after
year. Now we have an interesting combination of things. We have Washington, Seattle, Washington, and we have Colorado, Denver, Colorado. Right. Both weed states where marijuana has recently been legalized.
Right, so that's not a factor.
I think that cancels each other out. Because, of course, we believe that the team that wins is the one that needs it the most based upon economics or some kind of vibe they need to prop them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's a couple of things that are interesting here. Of course, Colorado had the flooding. Colorado has all the shootings are in Colorado.
A lot of shootings, flooding.
Now, this game is going to be played in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, we have 6 week and everything. I know you think that nothing should happen with the sporting event, but if we could do anything to screw up Chris Christie even better, I mean, this would be the moment, right?
I think they figure he's already on the ropes. I don't think there's anything like
nothing left.
He's done for a while.
So He'll make a comeback though. So I'm not sure exactly why, but I have a feeling Seattle's going to win, and I can't really explain it.
Why? It doesn't fit into any of it.
I know.
It just fits into none of our models.
I know. This is my problem. This is why I feel horrible.
Why are you thinking they're going to win?
I don't know. There must be some reason for them to win.
Why? What's wrong with Denver?
No. John, I'm only saying I have a weird feeling.
Okay, well, you're going with an instinct. You believe they're going to win for some instinctual reason.
Well, the only thing I can think of is Colorado's had enough exposure, and we need to focus on Seattle for some reason. I can't put my finger on why.
Yeah, I would go with a regular model.
We just stick with the model? Is that what we should do?
I would stick with the model. That means that Denver for a number of reasons, and then there's a lot of football reasons to back it up. There's a sympathy vote for for Peyton Manning. He should, because he came back from a broken neck and he's playing football again. And they're in a lot of operations, and he's back on track. They also have there's excuses for them to win. For example, they train and operate out of Denver, which is a mile high, which means you're more oxygenated down in New York than you would be coming in from Seattle. And there just seems to be a lot more karmic stuff going on for the Broncos as opposed to the Seattle team, which has a blowhard guy. This guy blew up on the camera, and it's just I'm sticking with the formula. I'm just going with Denver for that reason.
Could there be any other way to put Seattle into the formula? Is
Paul Allen is the owner of the team?
Is there a Gates Foundation connection? Maybe something that has to happen in Seattle. Is there a reason that Seattle should be focused on? I couldn't come up with it, but
there isn't anything. Seattle has no chance to win this game if we're going to base it on our model.
I feel I'm missing something with Seattle. I really feel.
No, you got like a few minutes to figure it out because we're not. Well, you could do it on the Sunday morning show because this game starts later.
Okay, no,
so you got now until Sunday morning to come up with the rationale that would give you Seattle victory in a big game like this.
Well, you know what? Anything could happen between now and Sunday.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. So maybe that's what I'm feeling. Maybe something still has to happen in Seattle that makes us feel sorry for them.
It's raining there.
It's always raining there.
Yeah, I don't see it. I just don't see it. And I'm going to stick with their model, which always has never failed.
Yeah, no, I'm sticking with the model. I'm just trying to. I don't think I feel like we're missing something with Seattle. I just don't. I can't put my.
Let's go Google it. Seattle and the word disaster.
Let's do it different. Seattle sad. You do disaster. I'll do sad. Let me see. No. I don't think I have anything. You got anything on disaster?
Coming up now. Office of no. Prepared? No. It looks as though they're no. The only thing that could happen is a volcano or an earthquake or a tsunami.
Let's do Seattle bad news. Let me see what bad news brings us.
There's not a lot of bad news coming out of Seattle.
There just isn't. It's
bad news will be them losing the game. That's all the bad news there is.
That fits right in the model, doesn't it? I don't know. I'm okay. I want to stick with the model. I don't think we've done enough of the diligence for some reason. I'm probably wrong.
Bad news didn't sully Seahawks' attitudes. Bass from the Bad News is a band, I guess, played there or something. I don't know.
Gas prices seem to have been exploding. As in natural gas, as in...
it went up a nickel or something like that.
Oh, I thought it went up higher than that.
Well, it went up 5%, maybe. I'm thinking it's 5-something.
No, it went up...
Finally getting there, finally that it's been depressed so long. It's about time it went up.
And the president, of course, talked about it as well. And then we have, in the Bitcoin department, very funny, he's the vice chairman of the Bitcoin Foundation, Charlie Shrem, CEO of the BitInstant, arrested for money laundering.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't hear this?
Didn't see that coming.
It's kind of interesting because the way the Reddit is playing it, the Reddit community is like, this is just to scare people away. It's bull crap. And so no, if you read the indictment, the guy actually was helping one of his customers literally launder money.
Hey, if HSBC can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Well, you also have to make sure to note that some people are given the go-ahead to do it, and you're not.
Correct. That's totally correct.
Well, I got some interesting news. I thought was kind of at least stunned me. Was the wine sales in China have now surpassed France.
Oh, my goodness.
Now then, finally, do you like your wine? If so, this is one for you. The Chinese, they've stolen rather an important title, haven't they, from the French?
Yes, this according to a survey from the Wine and Spirits Association, Vinexpo. They say that China has overtaken France as the world's #1 consumer of red wine. Their research found the Chinese drank almost 1.9 billion bottles of red wine last year. That's up over 130% in the past 5 years. It does, though, put France in second place, Italy in third. Vinexpo says it's down to both the increased wealth on the part of the Chinese, but also a preference for the colour red, because in Chinese culture it's the colour of good luck and good fortune, which explains why red wine sells better than white.
Oh.
Bullcrap.
It's really
doesn't explain anything.
Let me
Chinese
see.
food does not go with European style wines. I don't know how this is even possible.
You're the expert.
I'm just saying.
Just saying is just not an acceptable thing to say.
I'm not going to say that anymore.
Okay. Unless you say
But
moreover.
I will say, let me say this about that.
Okay.
I believe that the Chinese just don't even drink this wine. They just buy it. They've been on a buying binge. But I've been to China. I've never had wine with Chinese, ever.
What do they
and you
drink?
go to Chinatown, and people drink beer with their food.
Are they just collecting it, maybe?
I don't know what they're doing.
From Criminal Minds, a show I have never watched, but many of our producers do. This is a nice little ditty about the flu shot.
Not as amazing as you.
Pretty amazing. I started with an SQL injection. That's no big deal. You download a patch to fight it off, but it's the patch that contains the Trojan horse.
Like taking a flu shot filled with cancer.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Exactly. Taking a flu shot filled with cancer.
Didn't we have that flu shot from Baxter some time back? Or was a flu shot filled with bird flu? Remember that?
Yeah. They were mixing it up. I just love how they just slipped that in there. What audience are you going after?
I don't know, but
It's good.
Sure that
I like it. I like it.
here's some bull crap. I got some bull crap to follow that with. This is Schumer on the Shield law and why it's not quite getting to where they want it to go. This is the Shield law with Holder scripted.
The Media Shield law, which is it's called the Free Flow of Information Act, to be exact.
Additionally, the department's revised guidelines governing the obtaining of evidence from members of the news media are a step in the right direction. However, they haven't been finalized, and it's more than 6 months after the department sent its report to the president. When will the revised guidelines be finalized in the Code of Federal Regulations? When will they go into effect?
I would expect that we would have them available for comment within the next couple of weeks. I had actually hoped that we would have them done by this hearing. There was a little glitch towards the end, but I think we'll get through that, and we will have them available for public review and
Yeah, so the website wasn't working is what that means.
comment within weeks. I will say that in spite of the fact that they are not yet issued, we are working
wow, Mr. Performative here.
under them as if they were in place, and we are also...
Oh, hold on. I got to back this up. How to lie in Congress 101.
Say that in spite of the fact that they are not yet issued, we are working under them as if they were in place, and we are...
Oh, hold on a second. He's working as if they were already in place. That's interesting.
Are also looking to people the board that we're putting together.
People the board.
People the board. Write that down. I've got to people the board. Oh, which board is this? The Media Shield board?
Part of the review process. Mr. Fallon has been working on that.
Oh, Jimmy Fallon's going to be on the people board. Nice.
Well, then it's in good hands.
Yeah. All right. Who's Mr. Fallon? Who's Mr. Fallon?
Some guy that works for the... I don't know.
Let's see. Media Shield board.
He's like he's the guy picking the names for one of the boards. There's 2 boards they talk about. I didn't realize there were 2 of them.
I didn't know this either. What
one
are the
of
2
just a
going
bunch
to be?
of local stooges, and the other one's supposed to be taken from industry.
Oh, that's right. No, we know this. We know this.
Okay.
Oh, so that means it's actually happening. This is really going to happen. Congress shall make a law impeding the infringing on the freedom of the press.
Yeah,
We're actually going to make a law. This is great.
Yeah, it's against the Constitution, but they're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, well, that's good because we have a couple more weeks left then before they people the board. And once the board is peopled, John, it's all over.
Well, it's been all over for a while. It's just now it's more official.
Yeah. Well, luckily, I can work for you when you have your license.
Yeah, it's a process. I'll get my license. It's going to take a while. Probably take some classes. Probably have to take some seminars. I'll probably have to be checked in every. I have to be tested for drugs.
Yes.
And psychological evaluation.
Yeah.
And then I have to pass some sort of a test that shows I'll be loyal to the government.
Yes.
And then I'll get my license. I'll be good.
You'll flying colors. I predict flying colors. No problem. All right, everybody. Sorry we didn't get to our Justin Bieber news. For that, just turn on CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, whatever you want. They'll have tons of that. We, however, will be back on Sunday to bring you more media analysis and deconstruction. Here in FEMA Region 6 in the morning, everybody, my name's Adam Curry.
And, of course, I have a long pause there, but and from Northern Silicon Valley, where I'm considering getting a caviar sandwich for $8.95. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We'll be back on Sunday right here on No Agenda.
You will obey. You will obey. You will obey.
Adios, mofo.
The best podcast in the universe. Dvorak.org/NA